Hey, it's Shaves and welcome to another expedition of the Anime Encyclopedia. I gotta put the chat on screen. No, there's nobody in chat. That's okay. I don't blame you. Okay. As you can see in the bottom there, H. Just H. I'm very pleased about it. There we go. H. Just the H section today. Well, yeah, as we usually do, as every section. But, it's, I'm blanking, I'm sorry. It's time. Yeah, I did all the third edition. Usually there's so much that I split it in two. And now that there wasn't a lot, I just kicked ass today. What can I say? I hauled it. They got a lot of notes, too. Pretty happy about it. Hi, Greg. Good to see you. Let me tweet that I am streaming. I am in the process of streaming. Streaming, just like that. Thank you, finally. Okay. I'll wait like 2 minutes. I don't know. I just hit a render on something. Not on like a video or anything, but something for something that'll come up hopefully sometime soon. It's exciting. We'll see how well that goes. I'm so all over the place. I recently finished Hyogemono. I'm interested to see what they think about it. Yeah, they, wait a minute. I don't know if they covered it. Maybe they had a different name for it? But I don't recall reading about it. I always fucking spell it wrong. Hyoge. There it is. It's in J. We're not there just yet. I could read it, though. So, the article in the encyclopedia for Hyogemono is Jester. Which I guess is the name of the translation of it, I guess. I don't know anyone who calls it Jester, though. I doubt it would be fucking localized like that now, if they ever brought it over. Hello, Hikaru. Good to see you. Are you feeling a little under the weather? I don't know. Maybe. Not that much. I guess I'm just a little coffee. Coffee. No, I don't know. I haven't drank much. I just ate, also. I'm gonna crack a Canada Dry. Why is it in J? Yeah, I don't know. They felt like it. I'm gonna put the chat like right here. It's kind of in my new spot, kind of a convenient spot, because I always have to click on it. I always forget about chat and shit like that. Okay. Well. I don't know. I'll read that if I get to it. If you want, I'm gonna forget about it. So let's do it now. Why not? A little warm up. Jester. Civil war rages in 1582 as Nobunaga Oda's influence grows. Sasuke Furuta, an unscrupulous, ambitious samurai, aesthete, and art lover, falls under the spell of the tea ceremony, its peace and harmony completely at odds with the violence all around him. Yet his desire for promotion is as fierce as his passion for art. Slow, talky, and packed with cultural and historical references, this is a fascinating piece of television, not least in the way the opening credits specifically interweave Japan's past with its present, folds of the same screen. It views its characters in the round, not only fighting, but also talking about pottery, remembering the beauty of autumn, worrying about the next promotion, and admitting that not every samurai welcomes death. And there are moments of understated comedy, as when the guardswoman, just about to slice Furuta with her polearm, spots that his offered bribe is a fake, and he reluctantly recognizes her connoisseurship. The production didn't run as tranquilly as a tea ceremony. A month after the show began airing, co-composers Cro-Magnon split up after a band member was arrested on suspicion of cannabis control law violations. 3 months into its run, the show's official website changed the credit for manga creator Yoshihiro Yamada from original story to original concept. Although with discretion that would do a samurai credit, no reason was given. That feels like kind of a small change. I don't know why you would mention that. I mean, it's interesting, but I don't know what difference that makes, and maybe you explain what that difference might mean. No reason was given. For other tall tales of Nobunaga's ambition, see Black Lion, Yotoden, and Peacock King, among others. They liked it. They enjoy that one. It's good. Good to see you, Shabes. Haven't turned in for a live stream for a while. Yeah, it's great seeing you. We've been hauling it, doing work. It's been a little more consistent these days. Despite how crazy my schedule has been, I've been just working on a lot of different stuff and busy with things. But yeah, so we're gonna finish H today, and then next week I'm gonna probably not stream because I really want to work on this Naruto video. So I want to spend as much time as possible on that. So like next week, probably a lot of focus on that because I've gotten a lot of my other stuff done, which is great. So that's what I'm thinking of before we move on to I. And then subsequent streams, they're almost probably not happening on Fridays and Saturdays. I don't want to stop over the summer because I'm gonna get I'm working this other job, whatever. I don't want to stop the streams because I feel like I'm gonna lose motivation quite a lot. But they're gonna be on a different day. I don't know what day, and it might depend on the week. It might be case by case, so it might be very, very sporadic, or when I can, So hopefully it works out. Under the weather, it's going to be really warm this weekend. Yeah, it's warm already. I don't know why. I don't know. I'm also just maybe exhausted from the workout this morning. I don't know. I really liked the show, but it was also hard to follow. Lots of historical context, time skips, characters, and dialogue. Yeah. I don't know if it was my fault or not. I had no problem following LGH. LGH is very accessible. That's one of the great things about it, is that it's actually very easy to follow because the narrative is very reliable, constantly present, and the designs also make you remember all the characters, and the order of events and things. It just, you're able to follow it very easily, which is great. One of the great things about it. I should make a video about that. The eternal YouTuber brain. Let's see. What was I going to do? Yes. So, without further ado, let's go into the notes. Okay, so remember this is just 3rd edition, so there's no changes. We're going to start with positive takes. Hairy Tail, they liked. Beautifully shot and composed. Something about Hairy Tail? I think it might be an odd section. Odd choices. Or, yeah, now interested in Hairy Tail. Is it a... Is I right about it? I don't know. There's so much. There's so many titles here. There's a lot of information, so I don't quite remember, but I'll look at it later because it's one of the ones I was interested in. Hal, they liked. Moving emotional exploration of love and loss. Cool. Hal's Flute, they thought it was a charming story. Okay. Halo Legends they liked. They were actually saying that it succeeds better than most anime versions of Western pop culture by sticking close to the source and simply making it look as cool as possible. So yeah, it was pretty good, all things considered. That was surprising. I haven't heard that opinion myself. Not that I know that much about Halo Legends, I guess. Hanasaku Iroha they liked. There was the real charm of the show is and they're kind of talking about the more specifics, and I don't want to write the whole thing here. But I think that's a good indicator, the first kind of thing they say about it opinion-wise. And they say it's presented with honesty and charm. Even the fan service isn't too annoying, because it's set in a bathhouse. And they explain that, they're talking about that a little bit. It's a good article. Credible script from Mario Kata. Good looking animation, and they think one of the finds of 2011. It is one of the animes of all time. Halo Legends is cool. Awesome. Happy Happy Clover. The art, design, and animation are charmingly simple, and the color is bright and sweet. It's like a kid's show, I think. So that's cool. Haruka Nogizaka's Secret. They just, sometimes they use sweet a lot, but the way they placed the word sweet in this article just made it be like, yeah, they didn't have to say that, but they did. And they were like, that was a good one. So I consider that kind of a positive one. But again, there's that separation of like review. Like, here's my review of this show. Like Hanasaka Iraha, they definitely gave a review for it. Versus this one, they kind of like a little passing compliment or passing dig at it. And I want to make that distinction if I go back and doing this. Hatsukoi Limited, prettily animated. The fan service is relatively low and inoffensive. Yeah, I thought it was positive enough. They didn't have to mention that. Oh, cool. Heaven's Memo Pad. Some interesting plot elements and fascinating assembly of characters. That's a surprise. I didn't really enjoy it personally, but hey, fair enough. Cool. I'm happy they enjoyed something. Hellsing, they liked, of course. I kind of think I've expected that. The Kanaka script provides some of the better horror of recent years. And I was thinking at first, like, that's so weird. Like, isn't it a manga adaptation? But it does deviate from the manga a lot, and Ultimate is a closer adaptation. That's kind of one of the big things about it. So, if it's original, like Kanaka, awesome. But I was just thinking about it. They, for some reason, H, of all things, they mention Kanaka a lot in, like, various places. And it made me realize, like, didn't Kanaka write to Digimon Tamers? And they didn't say shit about that. They didn't mention that at all. I don't even know if they knew. Let me just double check Digimon Tamers. Yeah. A third series, renamed Digimon Tamers, began in 2011, moving the action to the near future year of 2000X. This was followed by Digimon Frontier. That's all they say. Yeah. Let me see. They list directors, script. They don't list Kanaka as a scriptwriter, because all they're doing is listing like the short and the first series, I guess, because they have Hosoda as director, the first credit. Could make sense because it's the first installment. I get it, but yeah, they don't mention Kanaka at all. I don't even know if they know. Interesting. Hellsing, yeah. So yeah, Hero Man. Even if anime and giant robots aren't usually your thing, I don't know who you'd be writing to. Who's reading this? Who found this? And like, even if anime and giant robots aren't usually your thing, if anime isn't usually your thing and you're reading the anime encyclopedia, interesting. I get the approach though. Maybe for fans who want to get people into it or something. Aren't usually your thing. This is a series that's easy to enjoy. All right. Hidamari Sketch they like. That this kind of like got snuck in at the end there. Far superior to most of its genre. Nice. And that did get me thinking that like maybe they don't altogether have a problem with slice of life, or even other stuff like sports or or harem, whatever. I think they are just being very critical of a lot of it. They're just like, yeah, a lot of it just isn't that good. But they don't give that vibe the more I read of it, right? There's just an open contempt, it feels, for a variety for certain genres. Like if it's a slice of life, that's a turnoff. If it's a sports anime, that's a ding against it or something. And that's the vibe that comes off of it, even if that might not altogether be true. High School of the Dead, they liked. Well, I considered it they gave it a positive compliment. Mindless, brain-eating fun. And that could be more like mixed because it's a little dig with like mindless, but I don't know. Calling it fun is pretty strong positive in my opinion. And brain eating is supposed to just be a pun on the zombie thing, right? Himawari, silly and highly entertaining. Cool. Hitohira, sweetly told, and it's refreshing to see a friendship rather than a romance be the driver of development or whatever, character development, something. House Hunting, classically heartwarming story, and I got a little annoyed. I didn't go so far as to write it, but I was thinking it, where it's like, Yeah, this is a Miyazaki short. This is like one that they play in front of the Ghibli Museum. It's a classically heartwarming story. By they say in this particular paragraph, like, Japan's, I forget the full thing. Let me find it. House hunting. I'm sure it's good. I love Miyazaki. A short film made by Japan's leading animation director for screening at the Ghibli Museum. Yeah, and I don't disagree with that. In terms that note, if anyone's gonna have that title, it's gonna be him. In both quantity and quality, yeah, I'd give it to him. But it's just kind of like cliche, a little bit. I don't know. Like, you don't have to suck his dick any more than you have to. You don't have to say, you don't have to mention that. Like, the leading, just say it's by Miyazaki. I don't know. I like treating them as people and not as like entities, deities or something. Or that maybe I'm hypocritical because I call Osamu Tezuka the premier classic anime director or whatever. I get it. This is a cheese stick, and I'm going to come off stream for a brief second because I just don't want the kids to get warm. Just really quick. I know it's stupid. One sec. Anyway, I've eaten both my cheese. You're like, it takes that long to eat a cheese stick? I had two, I swear. Ugh. Okay. Sorry. House of Five Leaves they liked. I was pretty happy. I kind of expected that a little bit. But it did make me want to check it out. Their write-up of it. I like their article a lot. Hi, Shapes. Glad to catch you live. Yeah, good to see you, Alice. They thought it was strikingly stylish, the opposite of a feel-good anime, but an enjoyable one. It's like, that's fair. Cool. Human Crossing. This fucking article, dude. It comes out of nowhere. Like, they say some real dumb shit in this. Or just, like, stuff I don't want to hear. The wording of this sucks, in my opinion. They're positive about Human Crossing. It's an honest and realistic storytelling, demonstrates that anime doesn't have to rely on ninja battles and magic babe harems to create sympathetic, understandable characters. And this links to the rest of their article talking about this show, but, like, just that statement, like, it throws all those other shows under the fucking bus. Which is weird because they just, like, Urusei Yatsura is like this really big, like, they apparently, like, I guess love that show so much they reference it all the time. But, like, just because, like, it doesn't, like, you're thinking about, like, Naruto, right? If you're thinking about, like, ninja battles or Ninja Scroll or something. Ninja Scroll and Naruto and these other ninja, like, other ones that are actually great are not great because of the ninja battles. And yeah, I think there is one thing we said where a lot of fans, they just want that. Sure, but the endurance and long-lasting appeal of those two particular shows that I just listed, or maybe even Sword of the Stranger, maybe Sword of the Stranger is a good counterexample, where, like, or an example to prove their point, I guess, because people only really remember that last sword fight, and the rest of that movie is just kind of like whatever. And maybe people love it. I'm sure people love that movie, for sure. But, like, it doesn't have the same cultural impact and consistent relevancy that Ninja Scroll or Naruto had. Again, Naruto's way bigger, right? Sure. But it's not, like, it doesn't rely on ninja. Like, sure. The fucking shitty OVA, and it expands to their larger point about this, because they talk about, the wording is so dumb. I just was really annoyed by that article, but we'll get there when we get there, I guess. I wish there was a new Blu-ray release of House of Five Leaves. Getting the old Jenny on print's gonna cost me. Yeah. Has it even? I wonder if it's in good quality at that point. Is it just stuck in standard definition? I heard you say Heaven's Memo Pad, and I'm already dreading their take on Heaven's Lost Property. Yeah, they weren't kind to that one, but they didn't. They took an artistic. They took a little more artful, tactful approach, I think. All things considered. House of Five Leaves was a pleasant surprise for me. It's weird how barely anyone mentions it. It's not a surprise to me. It's a very talky, slow moving, kind of weird aesthetic, short. I can understand why. Yo, good to see you, Nico Bane. Sup, G. I'm good. Humanity has declined is another positive review of theirs, the last one. Uneven, but often wildly inventive. Cool. Alright. Now for the negative opinions. Negative takes. Hakenden ate dogs. Refashioned as if... So, like, Hakenden is, I guess, you know... It's a very classic story. It's been retold a couple of times in media and stuff. And they're referring to this one where it's refashioned as if it were dreamt up by modern anime hacks trying to excuse a team-based line of action figures and slam-bang magic user game combat. Let down by lackluster... And then later they say let down by lackluster animation. Gosh, alright. The wham bam, thank you, man. Slam bang magic user game combat. Like, okay. You know, alright. It's weird how often they diss anime fans when this book's whole purpose is to get you to become one. Or just learn more about it, right? Like, this is going to be for anime fans or people who have a cursory interest in anime. Yeah, it is strange. Hanukkah. Flash isn't the best choice, and it doesn't shine, technically. Story is a revamp of plot tropes and stock characters from decades of giant robot anime. Okay. Although the little thing of decades of giant robot anime made me think, like, oh yeah, because you've seen decades of giant robot anime. I haven't either. But, like, I'm not going to make a broad claim like that. Oh, a decade. Oh, it's all these other shows that I've heard the synopsis of and can safely assume that they're like what I think they're like. Sure. Hardcore Hospital. Usually they don't go out of their way to give an opinion about hentai. They kind of just give you the synopsis and kind of tells on itself a lot of the time. But for some reason they just felt like they chose violence here. Rife with lack of cut-to-cut continuity. That's a unique criticism. Interesting. The alleged animators seem to have been barely awake while working on this, and it shows. Why do you have to put the "and it shows" part? We get what you're talking about with, like, it seems to have been barely awake while working on this. I can get your take there as is. Like, "and it shows" is such a I don't know. It's annoying writing. Annoying. But then the idea that they're barely awake while working on this, it's just like, I'm working on something for fun because I had the idea and I can't stop. I'm making a Twinkle Nora Rock Me AMV of sorts, and that's one that's very famous, or made kind of famous by Kenny, about the one that they just didn't have in-betweeners. They didn't want to have in-betweeners, so they just it's animated very strangely. One could argue poorly. Still fun though, still like wacky and memorable in that way. But like if you was like, I haven't rewatched Kenny's video in a while, but like he probably made a similar comment about that anime as this one, where it's like, oh, they must have not been awake. It's like, or they just didn't have the time or resources, or the manpower. I don't even want to quantify it as money, because it's not always that simple. But yeah, a Nora AMV, bring it on. Sounds cool. I like that OVA. Yeah, sounds peak. It's silly. It's funny. I'm just having fun with it. It's fun. I really like the OVA. I like the OVA though. Not really like it. Like it's not like Cypher for me. It's like that's a great, and Twinkle Nora Rock Me I rated as a good. I enjoyed that one. Heaven's Lost Property. Tasteless. And that tasteless is the thing that they're referring to, like, they're talking about the sequel. It's just as tasteless as the original. Gives lots of outrageous specifics. So let me redo the... If I can fucking find it. Okay. Heavens. Ugh, come on. There we are. Heaven's Lost Property. Let me just read you the synopsis here. I actually had a lot of fun watching the first Nora OVA. I think I'm talking about the second one. Twinkle Nora Rock Me. I haven't seen the first one, actually. But Rock Me is kind of the infamous one. There's two Nora OVAs, right? Rock Me's the second one. Yes. Sex-mad Tomoki is an average teenage boy. Sex-mad Tomoki is an average teenage boy whose mantra is anything for a quiet life. For years, ever since he was a child, he has dreamed about a strange girl and has woken in tears. Then an angel falls into his ordinary world of sadistic neighbors and classmates, devoted childhood friends, and mad scientists. Ikaros is a huge-breasted, submissive angeloid who declares herself Tomoki's servant and will do anything for him. She introduces him to a world of busty, powerful girls wearing collars and chains and longing only to serve their masters, flying panties in attack formations, and the lechery potential of gender switching. There's no nudity in this show based on Sue Minazuki's 2007 manga, but there is childishly obsessive interest in underwear. There's also no sexual violence, despite the offensiveness of the idea that absolute submission to a pervert enables him to reveal his inner nice guy. The animation is uneven and the music unremarkable, apart from a series of closing songs whose elements of parody and fun would have made for a much better series had they been unleashed throughout the episodes. The first TV series was followed in 2010, released with the limited edition of Volume 9. In the same year, a second TV series introduces some more serious plot elements to the fan service, without in any way improving on the tastelessness of the first series. Tomoki gets to have conversations with his penis and finds new uses for panties. So, like, usually they don't mention these very specific events in the show. But I think this was to color and to get you an idea of how ridiculous and the kind of things that it takes its time on. So, I don't know, I guess, sure. I had a lot of fun, yeah. So it's a little weird. You can tell they don't like it, so they're just trying to clown on it with specifics. Which is, the show's fault. It is the show. They're not... I don't know how wrong they are. I've not seen the show. Although there's one thing. When they said flying panties in attack formation, I mean, that sounds believable. That sounds right. I do remember seeing one clip from it of, like, yeah, panties are flying and just flying away or something. I don't remember them being in attack formation. Either way, it's ridiculous and perverted and everything. But but if they're not correct on this, right, on this, like, in attack formation, they're just trying to hyperbolize it. And then how can you believe anything that they write after that? Because are you hyperbolizing that he talks to his penis? Are you just gonna make a logic leap in that? And what else can't I trust you with? Right? It starts to expand. Expand. Yeah. Gotta go, Tanoshimi na. Oh, thanks, Nico. Yeah. So, no, they didn't like that one. Hells they didn't like. A mess of a movie with a preachy didactic plot, uneven pace, too much exposition, and a casual appropriation of Western culture. Visually, there's nothing to dislike. So this is one example of several that I made a note of the trends here that I'm going to try to look for. I might search the word script, which will be a lot. Actually, let me do that right now. It's probably it's going to be like a lot. 291 results. I guess not too many, but still a lot. But like I had this idea where it seemed with these three, Hells, Heroic Age, and Highlander, they praise the visuals, but they're caking it, and the different things that they word it as, they kind of phrase things differently where it's like the visuals don't save a shitty script. And that shows you their priorities. That shows you their bias, right? There can be anime that I love, and I'm just one person, but I think there's something to be said where the script is one element of several, and to prioritize it as the be all end all and the kind of the ultimate one, and yes, everything derives from the script, because from the script you get the storyboard, from the storyboard you get the layouts, and yeah, I get it. Yeah, sure. But there's other positive elements to it, you know? Directing, the music, the pacing. I don't know pacing really. And pacing is also dictated by script, I'll admit that. But this priority of that above all other things creates a bias, I think. It's something to be said about, because I think there are some instances where there's people that probably love those three movies, or those three anime. Two of them are movies, despite the script, you know, or just not even, the script has nothing to do with it. Hiya, Shabes. Good to see you, Annalisa. So that's one of several. Yeah, it's a problem of auteur theory when it's a collab work. Yeah. And they love their auteurs. These guys love their auteurs. They actually have a really interesting piece about Howl's Moving Castle, where they extra suck Miyazaki's dick. In a way, but like backhandedly, almost. It's interesting. I liked it. I actually thought the article was thought-provoking. Yeah, they didn't like Hells. I'm not too bait up over that, because I didn't like Hells either. Haneko could have been an interesting psychological drama. There's so many of these. I'm tempted to like search this. Could have been. There's so many instances where they're like, it could have been interesting. It just didn't go the way I wanted it to. Far too much is devoted to body objectification of a harem show. Okay. Not surprising. A lot of shows do that. Hero Tales. That's their prerogative, right? That's what they wanted to make. Hero Tales. Hero tale by the numbers, little in the way of tension, unpredictability, or excitement, and an unsatisfying ending. Sheesh. Heroic Age. Mythic backdrop only works with compelling characters and good plotting. Alright. Sure. Howl's is my least favorite Miyazaki. It's lower tier for me too. And they're mixed on it. They'll explain why. It's interesting. Their explanation's interesting, I think. Highlander they did not like. Not surprising. Not even a wizard like Kawajiri can do much without a decent script. There you go. Although, yeah, it's not a great movie, but whatever. Hiro no Kakera. Forgettable reverse harem. Alright. Hitoriga. Nasty. Nasty. That's a hentai as well, so not surprising. Could have been, you mean has a lot of potential? Oh yeah, they use that as well. They use could have been a lot, and they also use like had potential and things. Yeah. How's it? Yeah, I still like it. No, right. Mixed. They were mixed on .hacksign. Pretentious title. Ultimately lighthearted. And they say it's directed, scripted, and designed with a skilled team. They just don't. They don't like they don't really like the subject matter, which will go into odd choices a little bit. Gives you again. I'm writing a lot of the odd choices, not so much for. Odd choices really just notes. Actually, I should probably just change odd choices to notes at this point. things to note, basically, because this gives a better idea of their character, their biases, and like, you know, getting to know more about the authors in a concrete way. Hibernate Redmayne, I thought they were mixed about it. Strange, drifting story bordering on daydream. They didn't say anything outright negative or positive about it, but these are opinions, so I wanted to put that there. I like their article on it, though. Yeah, I really like their article. We'll go over it in a second. Hayaru Nyaruani. Lovecraft must be spinning in his grave. Snippets to raise a smile as you surf the net, because it's like a net anime. Gives it a solid try. This gives it a solid try. We'll get to. I wrote that in the notes as well. Sorry, I keep baiting things for later. Whatever. Hakuoki could have been excellent, but timeline tangles and drags, and the MC is such a wimp. Luckily, male characters are dynamic and attractive enough to save it. So, I was like, okay, I think it's pretty positive, but even-handed, so I'll give it a mixed. Hayate the Combat Butler. It's a standard harem plot. There's nothing special. For verve, nerve, and whip-fast editing, this show has few rivals. So that's a good compliment, I guess. Fairly mixed, though. They're just kind of, eh. Dot Hack is kind of plotting, but its premise of video game show probably sold out way before SAO. Yeah. Pretentious and lighthearted is a weird combination of words to describe a show, IMO. Yeah, I'll give you the full article, Hakara, because I know you made a video on it. We're going to go into that, like, right into odd choices, so I can do that first as soon as we get there. Heartwork Love Guns. Jarringly flawed whole, though one which is not without its merits. They don't really say what their merits are, but that's something. All right. Hetalia. It is equal opportunity racist. Because it was like, oh, Americans were worried about it being anti-American. It's like, no, it's equal opportunities racist. Despite this, and when they say despite this, after they say equal opportunities racist, I was replying, it's like, okay, so they consider that a negative. And then despite this, it just contains some nuggets of fact. And it's often satirical. So I thought it was a pretty even-handed review of Hetalia. Nothing special, they say. Oh, yeah. High School DxD, they were mixed about. Not exactly uncommon, because it's a harem anime, but the plotline, the Heavens and Angels and Demons plotline, and the digs at organized religion give this one more of a plot to punctuate the leering. So I thought that them bringing it up is a compliment, so I considered that pretty mixed overall. I remember Hayate being mentioned so much by the Sayonara Zetsubo author, because Hayate's mangaka was his protege, and got so much more popular. Yeah, that's funny. They say about a show I've been putting off because I'm afraid of missing too many references. Yeah. Sorry. Hoop Days, which is actually Dear Boys. Like the title of the anime is Dear Boys, like in English. Like it's Dear Boys. Dia Boys, and the article name is Hoop Days because the English localization, when they brought this to the U.S., they thought Dear Boys was a little weird, like not a good title for it, I guess. So they changed it to Hoop Days, and it still didn't sell well, of course. Predictable but endearing rerun of Slam Dunk with a little of the cheesy faux tough attitude of Initial D. I don't know what they're talking about. Like, predictable but endearing rerun of Slam Dunk. I'll just say it right now because I did put this in the odd choices. Dear Boys came out 10 months before Slam Dunk. The manga's from 1989, December 1989. And the Slam Dunk manga is October 1990. They only say it's a rerun of Slam Dunk because the anime came out in the 2000s. Slam Dunk in the 90s, but, because it was more popular, obviously. And sure, you could maybe argue it's a rerun because they cover the same thing. But, like, you know what I mean? Isn't that a little weird that the manga came out before Slam Dunk and you're calling it a rerun of it? with a little of the cheesy faux tough attitude of Initial D. Cheesy faux tough attitude? Have you guys seen Initial D? Not the authors, like people in chat. Do you think this describes it well? I don't know what they're talking about. Faux tough? Like, yeah, I guess there's sort of a cool punkish attitude about Initial D that is a little ironic because, like, it's not even ironic. The people who act like that genuinely act like that. And then, like, it has, like, other characters that are a little less serious and a little more, like, kind of goofy or whatever. But, cheesy, I guess, is something. But I don't know if it's cheesy for the same reasons as Dear Boys is cheesy. I don't know. I don't know what they're talking about. But also what's funny is they mentioned Initial D. I was looking up Dear Boys because I just wanted to look at it. And the article they link to the Wikipedia in the 3rd edition. You click on the title, like the section title, it hyperlinks you to Wikipedia. Sometimes the Anime News Network, but usually Wikipedia. And on Wikipedia, it says that like a major aspect of it was the rivalry between the main character and this character Takumi Fujiwara. And I didn't look too farther deep into other than that, but like Takumi Fujiwara, and I literally like highlighted the name and clicked Google search the name, and the first thing that comes up is Initial D's Takumi Fujiwara, who's the main character of Initial D. So it's like really funny that like they mention Initial D, but then they don't mention that the rival character of Dear Boys and the main character of Initial D share the exact same name. But not even like the first name, the full name, Takumi Fujiwara. I just think that's so interesting. The article will just get me triggered. We'll see. It's not that bad. It's not great. They have like a particular message about it, but like it's not that bad. Man, can you imagine that with Zioners that's supposed to say they released like a full textbook of linear notes for references in season 1? Sports anime, the same weebs. Yeah. A lot makes sense now that I know they care about plot above all else. Not a stance I like. I try to judge things by what the creators cared about most. Yeah. The MC is a stoic, possibly autistic, non-derogatory. Oh, Dear Boys? Interesting. If a show puts a lot of emphasis on its plot and it sucks, then that's a big mark against something. If there's not much emphasis on plot and it sucks, it's not a big deal. Right. It is a matter of gauging that, though. And that's on the viewer. And some viewers might consider the plot to be more important. Like One Piece. People think the plot of One Piece is the most important. It's certainly a strong aspect, but it's not the number 1 or number 2. In my view. You could even argue that, like, no, I would say plot's number 3, and then action's number 4. In terms of priorities and stuff, I think it goes characters, comedy, plot, action. I think that's the priority. Maybe I'm just listing that in the order in which I think it's good at it. Not that I don't think I think it's good at all 4 things. Just saying. But like, in terms of the order I watched, order of importance, that's my order. And that's like why I think I've been able to get such maximum enjoyment out of it. Yeah, so that's interesting. Horizon in the Middle of Nowhere they were mixed about. Nothing original here except the premise. They relate it to a hot pot where you're throwing a bunch of ingredients in and hoping it turns out good. Attractive design, goofy humor compensate for much of the chaos. So they give it some compliments here and there, and so it's a little more even-handed than normal. Just because it's even-handed, though, doesn't mean I will give it if there's stuff that like very clearly by the tone they did not like it. Sam I am, despite giving it compliments, I'll hopefully notice that. But there's like a judgment call on my end. And then Howl's Moving Castle, charming film, visually inventive, magnificently crafted. What it's lacking is a spark so unique it seems churlish to expect Miyazaki to produce it on demand. I don't know what churlish is. Never heard of churlish before. They basically mention and I'll probably get to it in a second. I'll want to do Da Hack-sign first, and then I'll go through the good stuff. But we'll get there. Hozuki no Reitetsu, they were also mixed about. Visually striking, and it seems to rely far too heavily on sight gags derived from Japanese religion and belief. Okay. Spoilers for Dot Hack-sign. If you know about Dot Hack-sign, the kind of the main character, I think that's kind of revealed later, and they say it's revealed later and stuff, so I'm like, oh, kind of spoils it. Happy Prince. At least it seemed the spoilers to me. I haven't seen the show, but it seemed like the wording and stuff like that, when I know about it, it seems like a spoiler. Happy Prince, it's 19 minutes, so the whole thing is described, and that's just one example out of so many that I don't even bother listing. There's so many hentai where they just describe the entire thing, you know, other stuff like that, but, you know, whatever. HHH Triple H describes all 4 episodes, which, like, it was just, like, very specific, weirdly, like, regimented, like, they go over everything, which is weird, I think. Hikaru no Go, they spoil. And it's wrong as well, but I don't want to say specifically, because it's very unlikely you guys have seen Hikaru no Go. Oh my god, their article on it. Oh my god. But they were incorrect. They were correct on something that happens in the show that is a spoiler, but for the reason why it happens, they're completely wrong. If I'm not mistaken, I'm almost positive they don't understand it. I don't think they watched the show. But I don't really want to go into it because spoilers. It's like a episode 3 reveal that doesn't matter until like episode 10. Oh, okay. I guess it's not too bad, but still. I mean, you know, spoilers for Cross Game, but like, because, I mean, that technically happens episode 1, right? But that's something you don't want to spoil people on because it's so hard, right? Howl's Moving Castle. They don't really say anything direct that's a spoiler, but they're describing the ending like, oh, happily ever after, yada yada. So it's like, yeah, they kind of give you the ending there. To prove a point, obviously, but still. And then Human Crossing. This is one of the things that was so weird and annoying about this article. I counted twice. They literally are describing the plot for 12 out of the 13 episodes. So, like, it's an episodic series, and every episode's kind of focusing on different characters and situations. And so they go over almost every single one. Maybe one of them is a 2-parter or something. I don't know. It'd be weird why they go 12 out of 13 episodes, but it's a giant paragraph where it's so many sentences of this does, da, 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 and they pitch you who the central character is, and, like, what they do, and what they're dealing with. And that's it. And they're just doing every single, like, almost every single episode. It's 13 episodes. I don't know why they did that. Like, why is it this long? It's so frustrating. It's really weird. Like, why is it attention like that given to this show and not other shows? You know what I mean? I do. Let me talk about that Hack-sign. First of all, before I forget this, there's something I noticed. It's not a really big deal. Their H section, the first entry isn't Doc Hack-sign. I just think, like, you picture me, I'm sitting down, haven't read in a little while, like a week or whatever, ready to read this thing. I open up to the H section, and the first one, let me just read this to you. I need you to understand, like, the kind of things that I would say roughly a third of this reading is stuff like this. H together. A schoolboy is called into the school nurse's office, and voluptuous red-headed nurse Momoka assists his sexual development. Later, he catches her blonde schoolgirl sister Marin masturbating in the same office. Despite being a virgin, at least at the start of their encounter, Marin proves to be just as demanding as her sister. Then Momoka walks in on them, so all 3 go to a public bathhouse for more uninhibited sex. This kind of thing actually happens less often than anime might lead you to imagine, because A, it's illegal, and B, not many sisters are close in quite this way. That's what I'm fucking starting this fucking reading with. I'm not like a porn guy. I'm really not. Like, and yeah, I'm kind of desensitized to this sort of thing, but it's just unpleasant. I just think this is a good example, a good emblematic thing of like, yeah, you're talking about way too many hentai titles in this book. There's way too many of them. There's no way that you're covering all of them. This can't be all of them. I would be surprised. I would be very impressed if this was the vast majority of them and you did it. But there's just so many that, like, it's so many. You could open to a random page in both of these books. I would say maybe you have a 1 in 10 chance of landing on a hentai. I could be exaggerating. It might be less, but that's what it fucking feels like, honestly. That'd be a fun game. Anyway, let's get to hack sign. Classy start. You know what I mean? And yeah, it's the H section. Like, not many people are gonna start. Not many people are reading it the way I am, but like, still. Unrealistic hentai. Who would ever watch that? The Encyclopedia will turn James into the foremost ero anime expert on AnyTube. Absolutely not. I'm like disassociating every time I'm reading one of these. All I'm looking for is an opinion or something weird. Like a comment they make or something. But usually like the synopsis and stuff like that, I'm trying not to picture it. I'm just like disassociating or something. So a lot of these are going over my head, thankfully. But still. Giving Hardigan, you mean? A run for his money. No, I can't be Hardigan because he actually watches it. Like, he actually watches it and has good feedback about it. Like, actually is a discerning viewer when it comes to hentai, and I really appreciate that perspective. Okay, so there's a perspective here for .hack. There's Harry Tail. Okay, right. That was the thing that was weird and interesting about it. So .hack sign. I just wrote some like blurbs, but this is kind of strewn throughout the whole article. The near future. Those with time on their hands while away the day in an online role-playing game called The World, whose monsters and player characters present them with goals and challenges missing in the real one. Paradise for an insecure teenager. So they go over, like, let me just read the full paragraph on that. I'm just trying to, like, they talk about it a lot. It's a long article, all things considered. Yeah. Online gaming offers the possibility of entering a whole new world in cyberspace, creating a new self-defined persona, and meeting others in circumstances you can choose and control. Paradise for an insecure teenager. This is ultimately a lighthearted look at the new world, directed, scripted, and designed by a skilled team with enough TV experience to guarantee a quality product, but it plays along with the theory that the web is a safe place to live the significant bits of your life and form your most important relationships, which is fine as long as you remember to log out occasionally. Boomer. That's all I can say about it, really. I agree to an extent. If you build a social network exclusively online and you have no outside friends, and you can't even trust your family, that's really dire. It's very dire. It's not sustainable, because what if you don't have an internet connection? It's rude, but like, or more realistically, and at least coming from my experience, some people that are online, you know, they have some things that are going on in their real life that they have to step away from the internet. And so they don't use Twitter anymore. I've had multiple mutuals now, at least 4 now, where I really liked being friends with them, or just mutuals, and connecting with them and responding to their posts and seeing them relate to mine and that sort of thing. And then they would step away from they would delete their accounts, deactivate, whatever. And that's all power to them. That's their choice, and that's great. But like, say those people, or they're Discord mutuals or something, online people, if those were your closest friends and then they disappeared from the internet and you don't even know what their real name is or where they live, Because I get asked that by my parents. Like, I talk about some of them sometimes. Like, I mention something that like, related or whatever. And they ask what their name is, and I give them their screen name. Or, like, how old they are, and normally I can't answer. Usually I say over 18, but, like, because I'm assuming, right? Which is dangerous, which is sure. But, like, I don't know that much about them. I don't know where they live or anything. And, you know, that is... making that your support system, a reliable system, that's the danger of it. You know, I think it requires a little more nuance than just it's escapism, and it's a it's fine as long as you remember to log out occasionally. Like, you know what I mean? You're not coming from experience. You're not coming from a place of sympathy. You know, think of some people who are marginalized, right? Who are very isolated or kind of alone in their situation. So I don't know, it's just a very boomer take to just be like a paradise for an insecure teenager. I fucking got my job that I love on Twitter. And I've met some of these people in real life. And it's a great feeling. It's surreal, but it's also a little more satisfying in a way. You know, like, you kind of meet, if you know people IRL and stuff, like, you know, you might strike up a conversation and you gradually become friends. But you think of the build-up, you don't have this experience of, like, talking with this person for years. And then finally seeing them in person is so crazy and cathartic, almost, and exciting. It's really great. I just think it requires more nuance. Anyway, I mean, yeah, they were kind of mixed about it, but yeah. Sorry I'm not in the chat and stuff. Complaining about unrealistic hentai is like complaining about unrealistic anime. Oh, it's funny you say that, Greg! Oh, it's hilarious! It's hysterical that you mentioned that! Even in old weeks, oppress gamers. Wasn't this published in 2003? Might be a 2003 opinion. Everything that I'm quoting here is published in 2015. At least. It could be 2006, because some of this could be, you know, some of these articles, like Dot Hack, right? That could have been, that was probably in the second edition. And I'm not reviewing the second edition, just the third and the first. But everything in today's stream is all from the third edition. So it's published at least since in the book that came out in 2015. So at the very least, they still endorse it. You know what I mean? Because they've revised a ton of these articles and, you know, edited stuff. So they stand by everything that they published. So, you know, yeah, it's probably a 2003 opinion. Because both of these guys are, like, middle-aged. They're old. Hi, Beyond Ghibli. Good to see you. I DM'd you something on Discord. I wonder if you saw it. Oh no, it's NHK that's a documentary of my life. Yeah, so true. Only true internet friends dox each other. But yeah, it's still denigrating the whole hikikomori deal. Are you going to Anime Boston this year? Unfortunately, no. I am going to a wedding for people that I met on the internet. For people that I met online. And I have met one of them in real life. Because she was in Rhode Island. She had gone to my school. And we didn't realize this until later. Until after she dropped out of that school. But I never met her in real life. And then we met up at a Denny's one time. And just, like, hung out. Because we were like, oh my god, we're in the same place. It's crazy. We'd have no idea. And then she moved to California. And now she's getting married. So, like, I've never met some of these people in real life. And I'm going to see them soon. That's what I'm fucking talking about. I'm going to these people's weddings. Bro! Never mind all the stories that have come out in the past decade or so about, you know, people meeting each other in World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy XIV or whatever. Like, it depends. You have to play the social norms game IRL, but you can at least jump to topics more than small talk online. Yeah. there, you know, it's a give and take. And I agree, have real life friends and log out occasionally, but it's kind of a boomer way to think of that, you know? Because at this, you're never not online. You're never not thinking about those things. If you put enough time and thought into it, yeah, I don't know. It's all what you put into it. Nice. Let's see. Okay, so that was the .hack thing. That's their big take that I wanted to talk about. But otherwise, it's very bloated with like, oh, and then they made Roots, and they made Trilogy, and all these other, you know, the big franchise thing. You know, as they normally bloat the articles with. Let me not hop around too much. Let me just keep going with odd choices. Hairy Tale. So yeah, I only put this here because it's a 1-minute commercial for shampoo, and I realized because they did a similar thing that I'm like, why is this in here? Because my thought was like, why is this 1-minute shampoo commercial in here and not Daikon 4? And there was another one that was like a promotional video. Not really not a PV, but like it was a special, 23 minutes. So yeah, it's still sizable, sure. Where is it? But it was like celebrating the anniversary of Ribbon, like the 55th anniversary of Ribbon. So just like it was basically adapting something, but it was just like a pilot or whatever. And I'm like, why is that allowed to be in here? And commercials, which I did pull up. I did want to watch that with you guys because I found it on YouTube. So let's check that out actually, real quick. Let me turn the. So this is done by Production IG. I think you can tell. It's an ass quality, but, you know, is what it is. This was uploaded in 2007. Holy shit. Yeah, short hair. Based. Oh, but she's dead. Shampoo. That's crazy. And like, that was cool. I'm happy they talked about that. My thing is, why is that in here and not some of this other stuff, you know? This has been rendering kind of a while, huh? Oh, it's just finalizing it, I guess. I'm rendering something. Something fun. We'll see. Okay, there you go, yeah. Hey, Joe. Holy shit, that was insane. Yeah. Yeah, transitions are good. Thank you. I'm glad you... Let me just... Hell yeah. It's good shit. I'll show that off publicly afterwards. A little later. Sometime later. Let me go back to my notes. Okay. Yeah, so I was just kind of weird. Like, I guess perhaps it won gold at the 22nd London International Advertising Awards. Cool. But it's makes you think like, so like would the fucking, oh, I guess it wouldn't because it's One Piece, right? With the, oh no, I was thinking of like the McDonald's anime, like the commercial that Colorado made for McDonald's. That got like everyone got a big buzz out of it. Or thinking like Shelter. Would Shelter have made the Anime Encyclopedia? I'd have to look at their entry, like their rules for content and stuff like that. But that's the first commercial, to my knowledge, going chronologically, that I can remember. If I control F fucking commercial, maybe I can find more. But they usually don't discuss those, right? So it was just strange that like it's like why that and not other thing, you know. I'm sadly terminally online. I got into an online argument earlier today and I was mad about it until lunch. Yeah. It's rare that I can hang out with my friends IRL. Connecting online through Discord is a lifesaver. Yeah, exactly. Depends on the person's situation. Sometimes IRL things isn't a possibility. What if they live in the middle of nowhere? Also, I'm trying to reach out to ClearSuite in trying out my first ever research project about the game Magical Girls. Oh, you're going for it? Interesting. Looking forward to that. Yeah, Clear and Sweet's I guess I can say it now. I didn't want to say it in Digest, but Clear and Sweet was that person I was talking about discussing Neurality's video with, and wanted to pick his brain about it because he had done that huge tier list about Magical Girls and shit. So I figured he'd have some interesting insight about it. It was good talking to him. Then he's another one of those people I met IRL at Otakon. Met a lot of people at Otakon for the first time. Yeah, and COVID did double for that, Greg. That's wild. COVID was the push I needed to start using Discord. I've been hanging out with people way more than I used to. That's great. The Cup Noodle anime ads are amazing. Oh yeah, like the One Piece one, right? And other shit like that. Yeah. And it's like, would you include that and not Daikon 4? It's just, I'm just trying to find, like, wrap my head around, like, you're not discussing definitely one of the anime that, like, people still talk about from that era. Like, jack shit people are talking about Hazedon from 1971 or whatever. But Hungry Days is my favorite. Oh yeah. Or the chocolate one, I think. Colorita made. It was like, the chocolate anime is so good. It's like so hype or whatever. It's like, all right. Anyway, Haitai Nanafa. The author suspects. I'm just citing a bunch. I just want to give a bunch of examples, and I can literally just like Control F the authors or anime encyclopedists and stuff. I'm trying to document all of the fourth wall breaking they do in this book now that I've found it as a trend. Hayoru Nyarurani. Where we are is in another harem comedy. Nobody has ever done this better than Takahashi in Urusei Yatsura, but Hayoru gives it a solid try. As if that was what was going for. As if Hayoru... Let me fucking look this shit up. As if this fucking show is trying to be Urusei Yatsura. Every show's trying to be their own fucking thing. And you can be like, oh no, a lot of them want to be Star Wars. Like, alright. Yeah, this one. Urusei Yatsura did it better. Like, whatever, dude. You know what I mean? Like, dude, whatever. And also, it's not even like it's debatable whether it's a harem. I'm sorry, I didn't have face contact. This show. Oh yeah, that's trying to be Urusei Yatsura. Yeah, nobody will do it better than Urusei Yatsura. Great. It's like, whatever. Big hyperbolic. Fuck media, guys. It's over. Urusei Yatsura is already the best. We don't need to make anything else, guys. The Iliad is already peak fiction. Why make any more? All right. Oh boy. Hanamaru Kindergarten. At least they say it gives it a solid try. As if that's what it was trying to do. Anyway. Hanamaru Kindergarten. Let me read you this fucking article, man. It's like, what are you talking about? Hanamaru Kindergarten. Okay. Anzu, Hiragi, and Kome are 3 girls attending kindergarten. Their teacher, Mr. Tsuchida, is just out of school himself and a great favorite with the class. In fact, Anzu wants to marry him when she grows up. But he's desperate for a date with the beautiful Miss Yamamoto, who teaches the class next door. The fun and games the girls have together and their crushes on their teachers are not so different from the relationships of the teachers themselves. It's just that the children are far more open and innocent than their elders. Although written about a kindergarten, Yuto's manga originally ran in blah 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 blah, each TV episode blah 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 blah, showing how age has no relationship to the depth of feeling, and how small children are deeply affected by the adults around them, even though those adults may be thinking of themselves more than the children. Parallels with Gainax's more famous Evangelion are not entirely unjustified, or indeed with Chitose Get You, which would rip off much of the plot 2 years later. Huh? I read that entire article to you. At any point did you think, oh yeah, like Ava? This happened again. This happened with the fucking other one that was like a Ava clone months ago.
Except that one, we actually saw people be like, yeah, it's a lighthearted Eva. Yeah. This one's just a fucking Gynax anime. This was just because it's the Gynax they're bringing this shit up. And I've made this trend. I'm like, gosh, do they have to mention Gynax for every anime they're involved in? What the F? Oh my god, get off its dick. I mentioned this in my video too, where it's like, even if they're on their names on this nothing of an OVA, it piques people's interest because their name's on it. Even though it's based on a manga. Alright. And not even directed by Ano. Who's the director? Seiji Mizushima. I wonder what else he did. Let's find out. Let me first show you the show, because I did look this up as well. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's like Eva. Right. Oh, of course. Yeah, it's just like Evangelion. What on earth? Yeah, Seiji Mizushima. He's been around for a little while. He was an episode director for Eva, episode 9. And that's pretty much it for Gynax works. He's not much of a Gynax guy. I'm director of Shaman King. Based. Director of 03. Also based. Oh, Edo Rocket. Nice. Director of 00. Damn. Yeah, and all this time later. Director of this show. In 2007, right? Yeah, no, 2010. Sheesh. All the Gynax people are long gone by then, I imagine. What's this? Aw, cute. Concrete Revolutio. Okay. Gotcha. Cool. And I just recently did Beatless. By recent, I mean 2018. Lol. Oh, hey! This is in this Gyna? In this? Wait a minute. No, it's Bandai Namco Pictures. Okay. I thought it was the Hula Girls or something. You know, that one Gyna show or something. People were freaking out because it's Gyna. Classic. Things never change. I can't believe Rugrats is an Ava clone. I love Gynax. What the heck are these comparisons? I should follow you on Twitter and see if you got a Discord just so I can follow up or something. See ya. All right. What are we talking about? We're talking about this show called whoops. Where is it at? Hanamaru Yochien. It was made by Gynax. And so the quote, parallels with Gynax's more famous Evangelion are not entirely unjustified. What are you talking about? What do you mean? Okashi. Yeah, well. Happy Ermine. A strangely high proportion of stoat, weasel, and... This is funny. A strangely high proportion of stoat, weasel, and ferret-related fandom arguments appear to surround all anime featuring such creatures, which obliges the authors to point out that although he may look like a ferret, Kojipi is more likely to be a hongo or ezo stoat. Hey, good for you being able to be in this argument, but it is funny how you're being like, oh, a strangely high proportion of stoat, weasel, and ferret arguments are there, and you just so happen to be quite the expert to weigh in on such arguments. I just find that funny. No, it's weird how many people are arguing about this. He's clearly a stoat. Like, you know what I mean? It's like a little ironic. Also, look, I don't know shit about weasels or stoats or ermines. The show is called Happy Ermine. And it's like, oh no, it's more likely to a hongo or ezo stoat. I don't know the difference personally, but like this sounds like two different things. If the show is telling you he's an ermine, but like I'm not going into the argument at all. I really don't give a shit. See, I'm not going to be like these guys and try to make the argument. I'm not going to fall for this irony here. Hi, Pandaman. Lamau. Hi. You know, I haven't seen the show, so I shouldn't laugh. Maybe it's exactly like Ava. You're right. I haven't either. Perhaps you're right. But I did read the entire article to you. Not to you, but like to the chat. You might check in the VOD later, or if you can like rewind a little bit. I don't know. I read the entire thing, and I'm like, where in that do you think it's an Ava clone? Where, indeed. I think that the thing is the idea, like, the adults are thinking of one thing, and the kids are thinking of another. You know, like a very universal concept. I don't know. Strange. I was just like Crayon Shin-chan, because they do the same thing, where the adults are thinking of one thing and the kids are thinking of another. Oh yeah! Like, all right. Anyway, I just thought that was really funny that they're just weighing in on this stout weasel ferret debate. Okay, yeah. Masuji Harada and Mitsuru Hongo. I just put these here because, like, I've been reading their little blurbs about various creators and studios as they come up, just for the 3rd edition, because there's none like that in the 1st edition. And I just want to read Harada Masu. I just want to read their articles, okay? So Harada Masuji, born 1947, joined Musi Production and worked as an animator on Vicky the Viking. Later, a director on Hattori the Ninja and Ultra Gran. No offense to Masuji Harada or Hattori the Ninja or Ultra Gran, but like, is that really worth making a separate article on? Because if that was the case, you would think the thing is fucking littered with industry people, like all of them. Like if you're going that far to give some to this guy or to Hongo Mitsuru. And for the record, their names aren't showing up besides their header, like besides just the section that they're talked about in. You would think if you controlled F this book, Hosoda or Shinkai, not only would their names be showing up in the articles themselves, but they would even be showing up in the little line, like the little blurb of like what they worked on. Like fucking Vicky the Viking doesn't have Vicky the Viking. Yeah, okay, so Vicky the Viking does have a article on it, but that's because he's an animator. They're not going to list him in that. So let me look. So like he has a link to Hattori the Ninja, Hiroshi Sasagawa, Fumio Ikeno. They don't even list him in the article about Hattori the Ninja. What about Ultra Gran? I'm sorry, this is like so granular to talk about this, but yeah, the director that they list for Ultra Gran is Kenji Harada and Satoshi Inoue. So he must be like an episode director. So like the only mention of him in this entire encyclopedia is this one blurb. Why is he in here? Again, no offense to him or anything. He's a creator just like everyone else. But like, you know what I mean? It's strange. Why am I not seeing this for other creators? I swear it's really not that common where they're talking about some of these people. They're making articles about them. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a stipulation or something? I don't get it. Yeah, it seems like a forced comparison. Yeah. So I don't... That was just strange to me. These two names came up and I was like, this is all you say about them? Let me look up Hongo again, sorry. I was in the middle of doing that. Hongo meet... Yeah, same thing where Hongo Mitsuru, the only thing that comes up is that the title of sometimes miscredited as Mitsuru Honma. Let me look up Mitsuru Honma. Maybe Mitsuru Hon... Hanma. 5 results. Miscredited, but they list him as Mitsuru Honma. 5 in 5 different places. In other articles that he worked on. Like he was the director for, what is it? He's listed as the director for Crayon Shinchan above Keiichi Hara. What? Keiichi Hara is another guy where, like, you know, and he was a big deal. And they actually be like, yeah, you directed this other animator at Shin Doga, who subsequently became a director on shows like including Shinchan and pilot candidate now associated with Production IG. I just don't understand it. It's so weird. Anyway, this is not a fully formed thought for me, but I just, so far I've not encountered a staff person where I'm like, you don't have an article on that person? Why? I haven't looked. I haven't experimented or anything. So that's just a point that I'm going to have to develop a little more. Hellsing. Nighttime sequences are usually avoided in anime pre-digital, as it always works out to be more expensive to get the lighting and shading right, but Hellsing bucked the trend with stark contrasts and blood-red evening skies. So I wrote that neither adaptation are pre-digital? I'm just, like, kind of confused. Like, I suppose the logic tracks, but I guess a lot of anime did a great job not making me notice. Like, I think that makes sense, that, like, it naturally gets more expensive because you just have to care more about lighting and specific colors and stuff like that, and it could ultimately be more resource heavy. But, like, that sure as shit doesn't stop the majority of anime from treating their nights. Like, it's not like nighttime scenes are sparing in anime. Or maybe I just never noticed that. I don't know. And also does the idea pre-digital, right? So they're talking about cell animation. And I looked at Hellsing, and I'm just making an educated guess about Hellsing because it's 2001. Hellsing Ultimate, you definitely know it's post-digital. Like, it's absolutely unequivocally posted. It's 2010. 2010 or 5. I don't remember the precise year that it started. It was a multi-year project, right? But Hellsing 01 looks digital to me. So, I don't know why they're bringing this point up, where it's like, oh, nighttime sequences are usually avoided pre-digital, and Hellsing bucks the trend. As in, so wouldn't that therefore mean that Hellsing is pre-digital? Is it pre-digital, though? I mean, if it is, then by all means, that's fine. Usually you're able to tell. And I watched, like, the OP as well as, like, a few minutes into episode 1. And it was a shit quality for one thing, by the way. It's just on YouTube or whatever. But, like, it doesn't look cell animated to me. I could be wrong, though. Maybe what they're trying to say is Hellsing is an early digital anime, is also one of the first to use digital format to make the show that is mostly at night. Yeah, I would think so. But it's just the phrasing of it, right, is confusing. Nighttime sequences were usually avoided in anime pre-digital. So they were avoiding it pre-digital in cell animation, as it always works out to be more expensive, but Hellsing bucked the trend by being digital? I guess? Just very confusing wording. What was that about pre-digital nighttime scenes? Didn't they usually make them grayscale or blue scale? That was so much more better than now. Yeah. Just kind of worded weirdly. I can't see Jack in a lot of nighttime digital scenes because they care about making it look realistically dark instead of communicating visual information. Yeah, that's not a bad point. I do agree with that. It especially also ages very poorly with, like, digital animation, like, in 480p, for example, or anything less than that. Blacks get a lot more blocky and, like, digital crunch. You can tell. It's very, shitty looking when there's a lot more blacks. I don't know. I can kind of see the logic, but also, like, Saint Tail, Cat's Eye. I'm trying to think of other anime that take mostly at night. Those two I haven't even seen, but I've seen enough where I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen them in the day. I guess maybe Cat's Eye is a little more even-handed, perhaps. But like I don't see that. There's plenty of anime where like there's a scene that takes place at night, but there doesn't seem to really be a need or a reason for it to be at night. So if it was really an economic deficiency, I guess, where it's like it would be more economic if you would put the scene at night in the daytime. It would be better. Would that just mean the anime is flexing because it's showing at night and it's more resource heavy? I don't get it. I don't know if I fully buy this argument. And maybe there's particular sources where they go, oh no, we sourced very specific interviews. Like some directors like told us about this one show or something. That's interesting and that's great and that's what I want to hear. I don't trust it. I don't trust them with this. I don't trust this information coming from them in this particular instance. If they cited that like this particular show, they couldn't set it too much at night because otherwise this, then that's something and that's interesting and insightful. But to make a broad statement like this is weird. It kind of depends on the quality. For example, with the old poor quality rips of Panzer World Gallant, I could never tell what was happening in night scenes. But with the Blu-rays, they're fine. Oh yeah. Yeah, that happens a lot. Alright. Heroic Age. Design and score create a sense of wonder that fly out the window as soon as the script kicks in. Again, this is like, talking about the production, script over production aspect. Writer, they say what the name of the writer is. The writer of this anime is this other thing, and then also a published author of how-to manuals on writing anime. Not like this, we hope. Little dig on that there. Again, and also very, inserting themselves into the situation. Riffing on it. So I want to give more examples of that. So I'm collecting that sort of thing. Hero Man. Even if anime and giant robots aren't usually a thing, this is a series that's easy to enjoy. Compare with Blade. Oh, yeah. I wanted to give that sentence, which is their positive review, and then they ended the article with, compare with Blade, which isn't. Even if anime and giant robots aren't usually your thing, this is a series that's easy to enjoy. Compare with Blade, which isn't. Why would I want to compare it then? And the reason is because they're both Marvel properties. They're not really Marvel. Hero Man was based on a concept by Stan Lee. I don't know if it was altogether a Marvel thing, but that's the connection. It's Stan Lee. Marvel, I guess. But like, just digging on another show like that, and then like ending your article on Hero Man by like shading a different show, just a weird note to end your article on. It's a weirdly unnecessary dig, in my opinion. It's annoying. Hiro no Kakira. At the end of each episode, one of the boys addressing the so at the end of each episode describing it, basically one of the boys addressing the camera as if he had just come back from a date with you. Anime encyclopedists are left far more breathless and flustered at the prospect of a production company so lazy that they cannot even be bothered to translate their own title. Let me see. Hiro no Kakira. So, like, the production, I assume they're talking about the localizer. Because they're just frustrated they have to use the Japanese title. Yeah, Hiro no Kakira, the Tamayori Princess Saga. And in Japanese, it's called Hiro no Kakira, a.k.a. Fragments of Scarlet. So I guess, like, Hiro no Kakira is translated to Fragments of Scarlet, I suppose. Maybe that's a stipulation by the licensor. Maybe you asked and you know that isn't true. I don't know. Why riff on him like that? It's so weird. And just like the you anime are left far more breathless and flustered. Kind of like directing it like in our isn't the joke we just made clever? Riffing it like on themselves. I guess it's a form of cleverness, but it was just weird and frustrating to me because they keep inserting themselves, right? All right, time to get mad at them about Hikaru no Go. Let me see. TBH, I agree with Heroic Age. The script was lackluster from what I remember. Yeah, I only watched the whole thing because I bought the Blu-ray as a teen, and I would always watch the whole show I owned. Yeah, that's fair. I'm not judging. You know, it's just sort of like, in spite of its visuals and stuff, it's just kind of a weird. And also the fact that it's one thing to point that out for this particular show, but even in this one reading I did, they did this 3 different times, where they have a priority on the script over the production, and they word it in a different way every single time. So it's becoming a pattern where not even good visuals can save it if it has a shitty script. I mean, what if I don't give a shit about the script and I just care about the audio-visual presentation? I guess that would only matter if there wasn't a script, right? Like, okay, let's Hikaru no Go. There's multiple. I would have broken this down, but it just kept going. It literally just kept going with shittiness. It was unrelenting. A fittingly sedentary game for the couch potato generation. Oh, that's why kids like it. They're couch potatoes. Once again, shitting on anime fans. Or the fans that like this show, because they're couch potato. I like Hikaru no Go because I'm a couch potato. Like the characters in the show, which they're not. If you watch the show, none of them are these fucking couch potatoes that you're talking about. The hell are you talking about? And easier to comprehend at a basic level than Japan's other national board game obsession, shogi, which is preferred by all rational individuals. Which is preferred by all rational individuals, including the anime's bad guy Kaga and most anime encyclopedists. They insert themselves, take a giant dump on the game. I'm not even like a big Go fan. I didn't like the fucking show because it had Go in it. I don't give a shit about Go. I liked the show because of the characters. And Obata's, is it Obata or... I'm pretty sure it's Obata's art. Like, I'm confusing it whether it's Obata or somebody else. I'm pretty sure it's Obata. The Death Note designer. I love his character designs. I liked the feel of the show. It was a fun show. It was really interesting. I like that the character grows throughout the whole thing. You can see him visually getting older as years go by. And the tournament's really interesting and fun, and like the characters are great. Like, and the way they depict this game, I don't give a shit. I never learned Go. I was never able to like fully understand what was happening in that show. But because of the very straightforward, plain way that they showed it, and like were willing to just show the board for extended periods of time with the people are just placing tiles, and they were able to build tension that way just through the music and just the direction and stuff like that, is incredibly interesting and compelling. Something I wanted to make a video about. I don't give a fuck about Go, and it's just so misplaced that you're just like shitting on this game, just clowning on it, and just be like, oh, we prefer shogi, including the rational individuals. I guess maybe it's hyperbolic and it's just a joke, don't take it that seriously, but like, so mean-spirited and like unnecessary, completely unnecessary, including the anime's bad guy Kaga. The character they're referring to, if you're not familiar with Hikaru no Go, is a minor school character who is better at Go and is one of the people that helps Hikaru specifically get better at the game and joins the club and becomes an ally. Not even for the whole show, because Hikaru gets more interested in the game and plays it and starts playing it himself and getting better at it, and to the point where he actually wants to do it professionally, to chase after this rival and stuff that he fought and everything like that, and this whole thing. And so, you know, Kaga kind of drifts out of the story after a while because years go by and he's a little older and whatever. But he's still around. He's not like he's a bad guy in like the time he's introduced. It's like saying Joey Wheeler's the bad guy, right? It's like former, like, you know, he starts out as like kind of evil, like an antagonist. You know what I mean? And it's like, what are you talking about? It is precise, and it keeps going. I didn't even have to dot anything. It's this all one thing. It is precisely the kind of anime one might expect the Yu-Gi-Oh generation to enjoy, exchanging and getting exciting about cards for getting excited about little black and white pebbles. What the fuck are you talking about? I'm not even gonna, like, entertain the idea that, like, but Yu-Gi-Oh and Go are not the same game. It's it's obvious. It's as obvious as the nose on your face. Like, it's just a joke at this point. It's hyperbole, I guess. Like, you literally cannot compare the two. I guess I'm indulging in the fucking argument anyway. But, like, it's insulting. Not just to Go fans and Hikaru no Go fans, but to Yu-Gi-Oh fans. Oh, it's the Yu-Gi-Oh people will love this one. What's going on? What the hell do you have against Go? Jesus Christ! It was ridiculous. I couldn't believe it. Anyway. TBH, yeah. With how much they complain about kids these days being lazy, they better hit the gym every day. Ah! What a good burn there, Alice. Off the rails. Kind of, yeah. And they may be just joking, but, like, I can't tell that from a fucking dictionary of encyclopedia entry. Like, what do you expect me to not take it I'm taking it seriously. There's a reason why Go is the milestone for AI. It is full of complexity and subtle strategy and tactics. How is it not rational? I get that it's a joke, but I'm mad. I know! I'm upset. I'm not even a Go fan. I wouldn't want it, again, I think I've said this about, like, I don't want, like, the Clannad article. I wouldn't want any anime to be talked about like this. I wouldn't want any game to be talked about like this. Completely unprofessional, actually. I'll go that far and say that that's just it's silly. It's fucking silly. Oh, it's just an opinion, man. Jeez, calm down. It's emblematic, right, of the whole thing. If you're presenting yourself in this manner, that is how you're treating the rest of the encyclopedia. You're putting your name on this thing. You know? I can't get into it. I can't subscribe. TBH, as a kid, I never watched this show because I thought it was a Yu-Gi-Oh ripoff. But in my defense, I was like 8. Being fair. Yeah. What do they have against Yu-Gi-Oh? It's a card game. It's a children's card game. And the protagonist has crazy hair. I'm sure they dismiss it or something. Maybe they don't, and that's great. Oh, it's a superior Yu-Gi-Oh, maybe. I don't know. But, like, excited about black and white pebbles. Jesus fucking Christ. I know. It's so weird. Anyway. Yeah, that was my Cardo Go rant, I guess. What can you do? What can you do? They do have good articles, too. Very level-headed, insightful, fun, interesting to read, worth buying the book for. It's not all of it, unfortunately. Because you can't have that level of care and attention to all anime. I get that. So then, even keel. Don't. Just don't. Not just don't make an encyclopedia. I just mean, like, don't go this far with your opinion, riffing on it, all these sorts of things. You know what I mean? Okay. Hyokoi. A special celebrate. There it is. Yeah, Hyokoi. There's also a quote about how it goes to show, yeah, this was weird. Hold on. Let me read you this whole article here, because it's like, where did this come from? Okay. Little and large, tall and short. The contrast is hilarious when teeny tiny shy schoolgirl Hiyori comes back to school after an absence in hospital and finds herself sitting next to a guy who's almost 2 feet taller than she is. That's the basic idea behind Moe Yukimaru's manga, which began in 2009 in Ribbon magazine and was animated as a special for screening at an event in the summer of 2010 to celebrate the magazine's 55th year of publication. The publisher certainly went all out, since getting Production IG to animate this simple high school love comedy in between high-profile gigs working with Studio Ghibli and making their ads for Mercedes-Benz, which just goes to show how titles we've never heard of in the West are often highly regarded in Japan. So they throw in this sentiment that's kind of common, right? Where it's like, the West may care about this title, but actually the Japan cares way more about these other titles that we've never heard of. I just don't understand the logic for this instance. Like, they didn't really insinuate anything about it being popular. They just said it was it began in 2009. Ribbon magazine was animated for this screening, for this festival or whatever. But, like, titles we've never heard in the West are often highly regarded in Japan. First of all, like, can you blame us for not knowing what Hiyokoi is if all we got was a 23-minute special, like, pilot episode? But second, like, highly regarded in Japan? You didn't really insinuate that in this article at all. I don't know where you're getting that from. So, beats me. That was just a little weird. Not so bad, but yeah. Yeah, strange. I did talk about this earlier. Hoop Days, or Dear Boys, predictable but endearing. The manga predates Slam Dunk by 10 months. And then with the Initial D comparison, they don't even realize the name of the rival. And Initial D's MC share the exact same name, Takumi Fujiwara. Horizon in the middle of nowhere. And we frequently caught ourselves wondering, rather wistfully, what a great sci-fi writer, say, Chiaki Konaka, might have made of it. Again, just Chiaki Konaka again, a ton. And another fourth wall break, basically, where like we caught ourselves wondering, man, if only Konaka wrote something like this. And looping it back to earlier, what I was saying about Konaka, where it's interesting, I don't think they even know that he wrote an entire season of Digimon. They probably do, but not according to this encyclopedia. There's no indication. Maybe if I look up Konaka and maybe they mentioned it, let's find out. But in the Digimon article, no mention. Bad idea to look up Konaka, because now there's 137 results. Granted, it's sort of like putting it in other places. Let's see. Konaka Chiaki. Yep. Okay, here's their article on Chiaki Konaka. His brother wrote Ultraman scripts. His most notable works in anime include Armitage III, the Bubblegum Crisis Remake 2040, Devilman Lady, and Zero Experiments Lane. Interesting. Yeah, I don't even think they know. Am I wrong? Am I high? Let me just see if I'm high real quick. Do 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 do. Yep. No, I'm correct. Series composition and script, Chiaki Konaka. Yeah. Okay. Probably what most people know him for at this point. Despite the other... literally all the things. Armitage III, Bubblegum Crisis Remake, Devilman Lady, and Lane. I would definitely say that Lane is more popular than Digimon Tamers, but it might be close. He would make a Digimon musical where he'd riff on cancel culture. That's right! I remember that. I remember hearing about that lately. No, he wrote Digimon Tamers. Yep. Yeah, we just checked. Hozuki no Reitatsu, aka Hozuki Keeps His Cool, So like, I'll check this out. Oh no. All right, let me just. Hozuki no. Yes. So check this. Check it out. Let me just put the display options called bigger. Yeah. Where are you at? Where are you at? Desktop. Yeah. Hozuki no Reitetsu, aka Hozuki keeps his cool. So like the asterisk I'm assuming you mean that it has an English release. Is this because this is what it's advertised as? And this is the translation? Usually they would put the Hozuki keeps his cool up here and then aka Hozuki no Reitetsu at the bottom. You know? Why are they switched like this? And this actually connects to what we said earlier with Hyoge Mono. We looked up Hyoge Mono, and it was Jester was the name of the fucking show. You look up Jester, that's Hyoge Mono, aka a jest, a T for university. And this one is not. This one's not been brought to in an English language, at least as of their publication, because it doesn't have that asterisk. So they localized it themselves. What it looks like to me, it seems that they've localized it themselves. Like, isn't that weird? You know what I mean? Oh well. Oh, I can just hit back. God damn, why have I not done that before? Oh well. Anyway, well, enough of that. Back up here. It's almost been 2 hours. It makes sense. I've read all of H for 3rd edition, so that makes sense. Human Crossing. Okay. Human Crossing. Let me read the whole. I'm not gonna read the whole thing. What did I write? It is a symptom of anime that they are so often unreal when all one is paying for is paint. By the way, this idea with like, oh, all that you're buying for an anime production is paint. I get it's hyperbole. And they mentioned this pot of paint. Like, I went hard on that months ago. But like, when all one is paying for is paint, you're paying for a lot more than just paint. By the way. And also, this show came out in 2003. After cell animation, when they stopped using paint. Your metaphor isn't even correct here. Anyway, here we go. The fucking we said it earlier, Greg. Where was it? Didn't Chiaki work on Hibernate Renmei? I don't remember. Ghost Hound, yes. I'm pretty sure you did Ghost Hound. Dude, I wish we would get a new anime from him. Hasn't worked on anime since 07. Yeah. It has an official translation, Hokuzi's Cool-Headedness. Yeah, that was probably after. This was probably published after that happened. Or before that localization happened. Wait, isn't it localized as Hokuzi's Cool-Headedness? Yeah, I guess so. Oh well. Okay, what was that thing you said earlier, Greg, about like about fiction? I don't know. Complaining about unrealistic hentai is like complaining about unrealistic anime. Who cares? It's a symptom of anime that yes, I wrote the whole thing. It's a symptom of anime that they're often so unreal when all one is paying for is paint. It is only logical for producers and creators to aim for the fantastic as often as possible in order to make virtues of their production's shortcomings. So what you're arguing is they do all the wacky, fantastical stuff in order to hide their shortcomings. Is that what you're arguing? If a show has fantastical elements, it's because it's compensating for something. That is the stupidest. I don't know if I'm misinterpreting that. Because, like, their argument, right, is they're trying to push up Human Crossing as, like, a virtue thing. Because it's like, wow, it's so cool that, like, this could have been a live-action show. But it wasn't. But, like, there's so much more to anime than the contents. Then, like, oh, it's realistic. Oh, it has this thing. The article's so fucking long, too. Oh my god. Okay, yeah. It's a symptom of anime that they are so often unreal, when all one is paying for is paint. It is only logical for producers and creators to aim for the fantastic as often as possible in order to make virtues of their production's shortcomings. Or maybe they wanted to make what they wanted to make, and it happens to have some imagination to it, and creativity to it. Or just, like, kind of cool, fantastical elements, because that's what they wanted to make. Not for any fucking reason for budget or so. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Miyazaki must be compensating hard. Yeah. TBH, I think there is some narrative potential to be mined with some kind of cancel culture themed comic horror, now that I think about it. Oh, sure. That's if he's up for it. Or if someone is willing to make it, but... Animation's changed a lot since 2007, so... Although I think he would be working on, he's involved with Despera, right? Like, he's one of the people behind Despera, and he's just like, yeah, we're trying to get it made. We're trying. And he's got Abe involved. So, that could happen. He's open. It doesn't have the same director, unfortunately, but... yeah. Anime rooted in reality, everyday anime, are few and far between. Yeah? Yeah, are they? Are they now? But Human Crossing is one of them. Every element of its production suggests that it began as a live action. This is another thing. Speculation of the origin, because maybe it was downgraded to anime like Perfect Blue, before giving the actual origin, being manga vignettes. Let me read the whole article. Every element of its production suggests that it began life as a live-action TV series, including resemblances to drama serials such as Tabloid, Unmarried Family, and particularly the prison drama Lipstick, since two of the Human Crossing tales revolve around female offenders. For some reason, perhaps budgetary issues, perhaps a change in the broadcast climate toward short stories, it appeared to have been downgraded to anime status in the manner of Perfect Blue, which is documented. The whole Perfect Blue thing is like they were anticipating it to be a live-action thing, and they're like, it might be easier for us to make it an anime, and then that's how they just were able to give it to Cone, and Cone was able to take up took it and ran with it, basically. It made it way more successful and popular than the live-action probably would have been, in my opinion. Not that I would know that much, I guess. Its origin as a series of manga vignettes, the creator of Big Wing. Its origin is a series of manga vignettes. Now, like, it's true, with manga adaptations, it's not always going to be an anime. It's going to be other stuff. It could be a live-action musical. It could be a live-action TV series. It could be a movie. There's been instances where it was a movie first, and then an anime later. Sometimes it's both at the same time. The only reason we have the Kaiji anime is because it was meant to promote the live-action movie at the time. I've quoted one of my videos. So that's completely within the realm of possibility. Just because it was a manga thing doesn't mean like, well, no shit, it became an anime. I'm just saying it is kind of likely. Like, I'm not surprised because it's a manga. Right? That's just my thing. The idea of it being downgraded, though, is just weird wording to me. They literally say downgrade. Not even in quotes. It appears to have been downgraded to anime status. It's like... Belladonna of Sadness is about the witch hunts, the original cancel culture, and it's really compelling. Yeah, it is. Though it's not really the same kind of cancel... It's a form of cancel culture, I suppose, but not the same thing. Tons of sports and romance anime are grounded in reality. Yeah. And they give fantastical elements to them, but otherwise, yeah. And so do they like slice of life or not? I don't know. I think I read their article on Everyday Anime, and I think their reasoning is just... I don't remember the whole thing. I remember not liking the article, though. Because I think they just kind of pointed out how it's been taken advantage a lot, and it's really just for exoticism, and they're just being cynical about it. And I have a suspicion that's because of just this media overload, like having to look through all of these anime to make articles about them may have fatigued them over the whole thing. I don't know. Wait, I thought Despero was like for sure not happening at this point. Would be excited to be wrong. He was tweeting about it like last year. That like, yeah, we're trying. We'd love to. I also don't like when people argue that there's no point to something being animated if it has no fantastical elements. Yeah, no, I love anime for that reason. I love it for that reason. That it's able to do anything. Anything, including stuff that doesn't need to be animated. Imagine making an anime encyclopedia and calling anime a downgrade from live action. Well, yeah, I mean, they're not saying that broadly. What they're saying is the logic of the people who made this anime, or the people in charge of this, were like, that's their logic, like, we're gonna downgrade it because it's more affordable, the resources, blah, 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 blah. You know, so they're kind of coming from a production standpoint that it was downgraded. But even then, they're not really putting it in quotes or anything. So it does give you that feeling of like, oh, is that what you think of it? Right? Oh, there's one little last thing. This got under my skin, like a last fuck you at the end. It actually, like, they really just, at the end, they just give more review, being like, the honest and realistic storytelling demonstrates that anime doesn't have to rely on ninja battles and magic babe harems to create sympathetic, understandable characters. Ugh, gag me, as I talked about earlier in their review for this show. The animation is very limited, and the storyboarding and camera work is pedestrian, and the use of live-action footage in the opening and ending sequences only highlights its inadequacy. However, music is used very intelligently. That is, only when required to enhance a scene or move the story along, rather than it being an inescapable irritation. What do they got against music? The fuck do they got against music? I think it's an interesting artistic choice when something doesn't use music that much. I'm trying to think of an anime I watched recently that I do remember. It was like, it's weird that there's not that much music. And then when there is, it's very noticeable and interesting and good. And it's a strong moment because of that. I can understand oversaturation and playing the same music over and over. If you have a limited soundtrack, you shouldn't be overusing it, because the audience will get used to those tracks and start to become sick of them. That happened exactly in Gintama, actually. There's a particular piano track that is like the very emotional track. It's like the only one they have of that's remotely like that, so they abuse it like like nobody's business. It's a good track, but it's like comedic how much they use it. Sometimes multiple times in an episode. And it's very distracting and, yes, irritable. So, like, I think there's some merit to be said, but just, like, the way they word this here being, like, it's very intelligent that they only play it when, like, absolutely necessary, when it's only when enhancing a scene or moving the story along. What if you're just doing it because it's fun? What if you just like it because it's an audio-visual experience and you like the music? Or, you know, like, what if the music enhanced the scene? And ones that don't, like, what if... They've talked about this before about music in anime where, like, there's some that's just, like, elevator music or something. And sure, there's some that is completely unremarkable, sure. But just, like, their approach to that is just kind of, like, to me. And also was a little... I kind of took it personally, actually, as someone who really gives a shit about the music they put in their videos and how it's paced, and lengthening it. I do a lot of like extending of music sequences so that it fits the precise amount that I want it to fit in, and I cut it in places. I cut the music in places so that I can cheat and move the music in a way that like helps pan out and extend the length that I give a shit about the music. And it's like, only if it's really not, it helps the scene or whatever. What if it's just kind of fun to play fucking Soundgarden as you're talking about Gynax? What if it's just a vibe, you know? What if it's just a bop? I don't know. It's a little insulting to me. As someone who doesn't share the same philosophy, I guess. I think it's a waste. And you're not making the best video you can make if you don't include music. That's my hot take. I don't mind people who don't use music, and I get the content ID shit. I completely get it. I get content ID'd to death, like get nuked with content ID shit. But yeah, I'm not making this for money anyway, so. No, I do kind of see where they're saying. Like, I watched that new MCU movie last night, and the music was blaring the whole time. Never let the film breathe. Yeah, I think it's fine when you want to go a case-by-case basis, but making a broad statement like this, where like, oh, only when necessary, rather than being an inescapable irritation. Like, there's trying to be fancy with the alliteration there. I see you. You know? I don't know. I think there's more tactful ways to appreciate that they don't use music much, but when they do, shit hits. I like that stuff. I appreciate that about, you know, I haven't seen Human Crossing, but I appreciate that aspect to it. If it's being careful with its music selection. It may have been Horror Musco, maybe. I can't remember the show. Where, like, I noticed how little music there was. And it added something. It was an interesting choice. But it's a case-by-case basis. Hatsudo Shashin doesn't use music. Yeah, because it was made in 1907. They couldn't figure out how to combine animation and music until, like, I don't know, like, Japan's history with that personally. But, like, I remember hearing how the reason Steamboat Willie is a big deal, and you hear about it, is it's not simply... I don't believe it's Mickey's introduction. It's certainly the one that got him huge, but the reason Steamboat Willie really made Walt Disney a name for himself is because that was the first major instance of synchronization of animation and music. So, like, having Mickey whistle and, like, it's like, it created a dimensionality that was never there before. Because what it used to be in, like, really old days, right, with silent films and shit like that, they would have a live pianist playing music as the animation was going. They couldn't add the two together. And then obviously, I mean, you could try to do it live, but it'd be kind of hard. But here, like, Steamboat Willie, that's what's such a huge... It's a huge moment. And that's what made it fucking explode. I love that. It's like American Masters, I think. But there's been obviously a lot of documentaries on Walt Disney. But I believe it was the PBS American Masters one where they talked about that. And the moment they are giving that whole talk about it, I don't even think they bring up Steamboat Willie. They just talking about this idea of, like, syncing the animation to music, and then you see it, like, the first scene of him sailing the boat, and then, like, it cuts to, like, the smokestacks and goes boop 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 beep, beep. It blows. You can tell it's like, oh my god, mind blown, and it exploded in popularity, and he got huge, and he was able to spiral into a whole company and a media empire from that. Crazy shit. Yeah, I was joking. I kind of have this problem with Eurocamp. There's always music or non-diegetic sound effects. It's constant. For a show about camping, it never lets up. And that's a fair point. I think when you say it's a show about camping, there should be a lot more ambience and not as much music, per se. And that's an artistic choice in that instance that may have not been the most suitable. I think for video essays, if you can use music in that way, as long as it's, like, you know, different tracks and it's an additive, it's kind of giving its own flavor. Again, it's a kind of a case-by-case basis. The thing I'm really championing here is nuance. I want nuance. Obviously, you can't give nuance to every show in this encyclopedia. And that's part of the problem. But that's what makes it so interesting and worth talking about so much, is that the conversation could be endless. And additive, but constantly additive. Not cyclical. Like, it's so sad that we're still having the same arguments about sub versus dub, or fan service, or not liking certain genres or something. You know, like, a lot of this stuff is cyclical. But there's so much information we don't know or don't appreciate or come to better understanding of some of these shows. Like talking about LGH in the term, not in terms of its scale or its characters or anything, but just in it, or but I like, and that's why I like that Geek Studio video of talking about LGH's aesthetics and design. It's actually a very well designed show. Or just talking, and for me, I would want to talk about its modesty in terms of like, it doesn't boast itself as being so important, but there's certain actions in other shows, say Code Geass, for example, where there's a self-importance to it. The way the music is playing and the direction and the character, it's a boisterous character. But Reinhardt's also a boisterous character, but how is he presented in the show? In a way that's endearing or interesting. That he's different. He just hits different, man. Even if you see like a picture of him, of people's profile pictures and stuff, he looks like a haughty, pretentious guy. But you watch him in the show, and he's really chill, and he's like really rational and like cool guy, Katsudo Shishin's superior anime made before the talkies became mainstream. Yeah, fair. Very hipster of you. Anyway, kind of annoyed about that humane. Also, that doesn't even like talk. As we mentioned earlier, they just go over every single episode. Like they describe each one by like a sentence. It's just crazy. It's just such a weird article. Couldn't believe it. Anyway, hypnotized college slaves. This was just kind of the last one. That was just kind of funny. It was the last article I think I read for this. They're wearing school uniforms, but we just know that if this is ever translated, the U.S. release will insist that a gakuen is a college. Fucking. Gakuen is a college. You named it that! You localized it as hypnotized college slaves. It's not you. If it was ever if this ever was ever translated, so did you give this name to it then? What? You did it. And I looked on ANN. Of course I don't want to, because it's porn, but like. Alternative title, Mesmerized Slave. Not even this. Like, come the fuck on. Am I crazy? Like, are you fucking kidding me? The Gakuen thing is a joke. Yeah, but they named it that. Like, what are you doing? Basically, LGH gets how to use subtlety. Yeah. Man, I don't know. That was just a last-ditch weird thing. I meant a common thing to joke about. Oh, yeah. I'm sure it's a common thing to joke. I get that. But, like, to be like, I bet they're going to localize it as that, and they localized it that way, it just seems hypocritical to me. But maybe I'm being oversensitive. Maybe I'm just being a big baby. I probably am. I wouldn't put it past me. Very oversensitive. We are not idiots. Good one. Hibernate Renmei. I really like this article. Lots of plot detail without spoiling too much. We've talked a lot about, like the naming conventions and the society they're in and the world building and things like that. Really appreciating it without like really giving away a whole lot of spoilers and stuff. In terms of what they're, the visions that the dreams that they had that they're named after, or what happens in the midpoint of the show, things like that. That could be spoiled. Potential interpretations, and it's light on opinion. They do give a little bit, like, oh, it's strange and things like that, but nothing too major. I want to share it a little bit. Nothing that's like too major. Let me see. Hi, Bene. The manga forms the basis for the strange, slow-paced anime with very little action, but delicate manipulation of emotion. Abe claims his initial inspiration came from the walled, placeless dream city of Haruki Murakami's novel Hard-Boiled Wonderland and the End of the World, and it shares themes of fate in limbo with Night on Galactic Railroad, Hirokazu Koreeda's masterpiece Afterlife, and the children's show Yuta and His Wondrous Friends. Atmosphere, not event, makes for a drifting story bordering on daydream. It has many potential interpretations: the need to control the unknown, the restrictions of life dissolving in the flight of death, the purposelessness of the rules we impose, and the gradual surrender of curiosity to apathy. Whereas Lane was about a young girl seeing the pointlessness of her existence and actively pursuing a challenge that leads to another place altogether, Haibane Renmei is about regretting the pointlessness of existence while waiting to be rescued by a legend, maturity, or death, but certainly not by self-determination. I don't know, I thought that was really eloquent, thoughtful, interesting, engaging, nice. Good article. I enjoyed it. I think the way they localized it itself was a joke. Yeah, I get it. Again, I can't tell. I don't want to just assume things are jokes. Unless it's super obvious to me. I'm very bad at detecting sarcasm. Like, patently bad. I know it's a weak point for me. So in a way, I am the worst person to be doing this kind of project. With their kind of humor. I'm going to be very hard on them. Not in out of completely, pointless way, I guess. But just out of a way that, I find valid. I find, being true to myself. Happiness. The anime contains mild fan service, but is strongly focused on romance and school comedy. Very plain, dry little quote there. Not too much else to that article, but just like that wording is the kind of, and I've talked about this in other places, that's the kind of thoughtful analysis I want. Just give me the details beyond the plot shit. Just like, tell me about it. As a unique experience, what does it offer specifically that's interesting? Or just like, give me an understanding. It's like, there's mild fan service, but it is more strongly focused on this aspect. I just like that a lot. And it's just plain. It's nice. It's nice. Hi, Altai. It's good to see you. Heat Guy J. Nice discussion of Isaac Asimov and 9/11 influence. It got me to want to check it out, even though I've heard it before. Heat Guy J. Let me go check it out. Read that one. Heat Guy J. Ha! Lots of ha's. And now we're at hiya. Ha. Ha. Heat. Here. Heart. Head. Heat. Heart. Heat Guy J. There is a Heat Guy J manga written and drawn by Chiaki Ogishima and serialized in magazine Z, but this anime has a much longer pedigree. From Astro Boy onward, Japanese science fiction has owed a great debt to Isaac Asimov, and nowhere is it more obvious than in his pastiche of The Caves of Steel, which similarly featured an unlikely robot-human detective alliance on a prejudiced Earth. It also featured a race of snooty superior beings whose technology and lifestyle was far beyond Terran understanding, the Spacers in the original and the Celestials in this homage. If the plot was not enough of a clue, Daisuke even appears to have been named after Asimov's space homeworld, Aurora, compared to the Big O, which similarly lifted elements of Asimov's work. Heat Guy J was also influenced by the same 9/11 terrorism fallout that affected Full Metal Panic and Metropolis. The pseudo-New York City lends itself to numerous references inspired by post-9/11 rumors about civilization under siege. It is easy to forget that over 100 Japanese were killed in the 9/11 attacks, and that in the ensuing months, the Japanese government controversially urged its citizens to stay at home. Elements of this paranoia can be pursued in the hermetic world of Heat Guy J's city-state. There may be other nations, but it is implied that Judo is a place one must either love or leave, and once one quits, there is no going back. The Vampire Syndicate attempts to manipulate the stock market in order to make the ultimate killing, although they do so in a humble product like tomatoes, leading to an in-depth look at the city's food supply. A refreshing change in a genre where all too often everyday commodities just appear as if by magic. Other elements of the 21st century zeitgeist can be discerned in the stranglehold the Celestials have on Judo's water purification technology. They return once each generation to collect their fee and overhaul the machines, otherwise they automatically grind to a halt. A pattern that meets with disaster when a Celestial murder case causes the engineers to boycott Judo, leaving Daisuke with a limited time to solve the case before the city goes into meltdown. It's just really thoughtful, really interesting, like really close analysis, not a lot of snark or anything. It's nice. It's an oasis, you know? It's also just nice that they don't dwell at all on like how big of a bomb Hikage was in the West. That's all I ever heard about this show. So to hear anything else, especially something this thoughtful, is bliss. I really wish the whole thing was like this. I have work during the time these streams are usually, but now I'm able to hop right now. Hey, yo! Yay. I'm also over 2 hours. It's because I read the entire H section for the 3rd edition. Usually I split it in half, but I went ham. I don't like how they always say fan service, but yeah, no, it's allergy. It's a straight allergy to fan service. If you don't like it, you don't like it. But like, you don't need to impose that sort of thing on other people. It's fine to warn people about it, but like, give that inherently negative connotation is kind of like annoying. Same character designer from Escaflowne, I think. Yes, I'm pretty sure for Hikage. Jay's a Kazuki Akane show. Early State Light shows are pretty wild. Yeah. Damn, Hikage has been on my list for years, but this makes it seem pretty appealing. Yeah, it's really interesting. I really like it. Implying that later shows aren't wild. Yeah. So I really like that one. Good coverage of staff for Hidamari's sketch, actually. I really like this article. Because they were talking about how like this could be really just whatever, like blasé, as an adaptation if it weren't for being directed by Shimbo and like a studio Shaft show. Which I think is a good point. I think that's interesting. Because like they do add a heck of a lot to that show. Let me see. Hidamari sketch. Based on Ume Aoki's 2005 Yonkama manga strip, 4-panel manga strip, Yonkama. This well-worn theme could have been just another Moe moment, but for the intervention of Akiyuki Shimbo. He first directed anime in 1990 on Studio Pierrot's romantic comedy Musashi Road. He's often been associated with Shaft, where he also directed the surreal Petite Cosette. Here, the surreality is less disturbing and more entertaining, as he and his gifted team break each flat frame into stylized shapes, happy colors, whip snappy visual gags, and abstract images. The first TV series, blah, 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 blah. Kamitsubo, who had assisted Shimbo on the first series, is credited as unit director for the title sequence. In 2010, third season, took us into Yuno's second year at high school with new students moving in for the same everyday anime fun. Shimbo stepped down from the top slot to allow Ishikura to take over as series director, but the core writing team of Hasegawa and Yoguchi remained unchanged. Once again, there were 2 video-only specials, 4th TV series, with Yuki Yase in the series director's seat. Yase's career began as a production runner on Noin, and has included episode director credits on 6 other series, including Durarara and White Album, so Shimbo's experienced hands stayed on the reins. The consistent level of directing and writing continuity has resulted in a series far superior to most of its genre. I just like that very systematic, giving credit where it's due. It's good shit. I really like that. How was Moving Castle? So you can guarantee with how big of a Tezuka fan and Miyazaki fan these guys are in particular, they're going to go absolutely ham on, and Hosoda as well. They love Hosoda, and sometimes I think a little bit of Shinkai, but big Howl fan, and not big Miyazaki fans. naturally. So, where is it? Yeah. Just going to skip the synopsis. I really want to read the whole thing because it's interesting. There's a lot of like stuff about this movie I had no idea about. I knew about like the directions shift, but some of their insight's good. And their view of this movie. Hayao Miyazaki's adaptation of the novel by Diane Wynne Jones adds several personal touches, starting with a wheezing comic relief lapdog. The wholly magical realm of the original novel is given a more modern steam-based technology and a new subplot about a distant war, fraught with mixed feelings that appear rooted in Japan's role as a bystander and beneficiary of the invasion of Iraq. War breaks out over the search for an important artifact, the infamous real-world weapons of mass destruction transformed here into a missing prince, demands for whose return lead to the background conflict. Moving Castle wrestles with the ideas of duty and obligation, and how best to do the right thing in a world gone wrong. Flushed with international approbation for Spirited Away and Miyazaki's long-deserved Academy Award, Howl's was less a movie than a national celebration. On its opening weekend, 1.1 million Japanese spent over $14 million, an opening surpassed only by Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, and probably since passed by Demon Slayer. Probably. I don't know about opening day. Opening weekend. I don't know about opening weekend, but it's probably been passed by now. Nice. I'm curious what they think about Monogatari. They liked it. Just at least Bake. Has anyone figured out what that wired chief director title Shimbo has on most Shaft titles actually means? No, we still don't really have any idea. As far as we know, he could just be having his name on it if he's not directly involved. I really don't know. Yeah, they loved Bake, surprisingly. An opening surpassed only by Sorcerer's Stone. Buena Vista invested reverently in the English language adaptation, casting the new Batman, Christian Bale, as the selfish Howl, and Billy Crystal in a comic turn as Calcifer. The dub also tied firmly into America's film heritage, with Gene Simmons as the aged Sophie and Lauren Bacall as the Witch of the Waste. Howl's is a charming film, visually inventive and magnificently crafted. The castle itself is a fabulous creation, like a magic mechanical version of Baba Yaga's hut from Russian folklore. And the settings are beautifully realized, with the wild mountains and uplands handled particularly well. However, there is a difference between an excellent film and an excellent Miyazaki film. All film is a collaborative process, but in the best films of a genius, one finds a unique creative soul, a way of seeing and showing that can be imitated, but not replicated. Other great Japanese directors, given Ghibli's unrivaled resources, could have made a movie very much like Howl's, but no one could have made anything approaching Nausicaa. I like that take. I enjoy that take a lot. In part because they're sucking Nausicaa. In one way because they're praising Nausicaa, and Nausicaa is my favorite animated film. But I've also made that argument myself in the past, where I argue how I think Patlabor 2 is a great movie. It's not a great Patlabor movie. And Urusei Yatsura Beautiful Dreamer is a great movie. It's not a great Urusei Yatsura movie. I do think there's a difference. And I do see where they're coming from when they say that about Howl's, where it's a good movie. Great movie. If you find out it was directed by Miyazaki and you've seen his other stuff, it's like, oh, well, I guess it's okay. Kind of downgrades a little bit, because at the same time, there's something about that. Auteurs! Yeah, no, they got big auteur energy. Oh, they're all for it, dude. All into it. Not bad Howl article. Based take. I know. It's actually really good. Let me read some more. Castles was originally intended for another director until Miyazaki stepped in. The legendary perfectionist seemingly unable to let a good idea go to waste, even though he had supposedly retired. The film's hidden message is Miyazaki's love letter to Akemi Ota, the young, hard-working animator girl he married so long ago, a plucky heroine who woke up one day to find herself a glorified scullery maid to a self-absorbed creative, obsessed with distant battles and otherworldly sorceries. So they're arguing that the hidden message is that Sophie is his wife, who like unfortunately married Miyazaki. Like, I've never heard that take before. That sounds pretty accurate. I don't put it past them. I honestly think that's a decent read. That's freaking nuts. I don't know why I've never heard that before, but that's crazy to me. Howells sometimes appears more like the product of a committee rehashing Miyazaki's glory days. Oh, holy shit. Heroines confronted by outsized obstacles, contending witches, and lead characters unwittingly transformed. Absolute simplicity and innocence are hard to handle realistically. In My Neighbor Totoro, they work sublime wonders, but in Howells, it leaves the characters alienated from the events around them, like preoccupied children or the little people of Patlabor, ignorant of a big picture that is only apparent on repeat viewings. So I think they're referring to like the kid that's in Howell's castle. I forget his name. Marco. I don't remember. Not Marco. I don't remember the kid. But also like Scarecrow and the dog, and yeah, there's those little like sidekick characters that don't really have to do with the main plot, the main thing. Glory Days. Do they not like Miyazaki's post-Howl stuff? I haven't read their Ponyo article yet. I don't think I have. And then, what else do you do? Ponyo, Wind Rises. I have to see if Wind Rises shows up here. I imagine it did. It's 2013. Yeah, it's in here. Yeah, they have an article on it. I haven't read it. And that's also going to be definitely in the context of, yeah, this is his final film. So that'll be exciting. I don't know what they think of it though. Good stream, but gotta bounce later. Good to see you, Panda Man. You can check out the VOD afterwards. But not too much else after. Not too longer, I don't think. It may be a tribute to the original novel character who fed on the souls of besotted young girls that Howl is Miyazaki's first consciously beautiful male hero who gets to have Miyazaki's first full on-screen kiss. But he's also the first Miyazaki hero to turn into a conventional father figure by the end of the movie. By the close of the film, the wild magical creatures are tamed into an image of a nuclear family. The magnificently depraved witch is a gentle granny mumbling in a sunny garden. The resourceful Markle, that's the kid Markle, a kid teasing an old dog. And the fire elemental, a lovably grouchy Disney domestic appliance. As the irresistible wizard steers his companion and the domesticated castle into the happily ever after. Compare this with the ending of Princess Mononoke, where San and Ashitaka agree to accept each other's separate needs without compromising their love. The major Miyazaki themes are still there. Integrity, consideration for others, the destructive power of war and greed, ecological awareness, the synergy of true teamwork. What is lacking is a spark so unique it seems churlish, 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 rude in a mean-spirited or surly way. It seems churlish to expect Miyazaki to produce it on demand, movie after movie. And the supernaturally sure-footed sense of pace and timing that informs his greatest works. Howl's is a detailed and generous answer, but so caught up in its own complexity that it seems to have misheard the question. I don't quite know what they mean by that last part. That's a little vague and a little too, writer, like, that sounds nice. I can't connect to that as a reader, personally. The rest of it, though, banger. Really like that article. Really interesting shit. Yeah, now interested in Harry Tale. We went over that. We actually covered that on stream. Let me check out this other one, Hal and Bones. It's by the Red Line director. I guess because like he kind of references his other stuff in other places. Yeah, of course it's not going to come up. Okay. Hal and Bones. Yeah. Ooh. Cool. Yeah, so it's a Katsuhito Ishii joint. A little cute. It's kind of interesting. Like that's like an interview type of thing, and then decides to give up being interviewed with the movie and move in with them instead. Helmbones have mixed feelings about this turn of events. Mochi tastes great, but he's rather lacking in social skills and he's starting to smell. Yeah, it's kind of funny. Interesting. The Happy Prince from 1975. Tomino directed this one. No way. Oh my god, it showed up. I think we talked about this earlier, actually. I think I remember this. I think I remember bringing this up. Oscar Wilde? Yeah. Interesting. And Hitohira. I forget why I was interested, but let's see. I feel like I've seen this before. This looks familiar. A transfer student is a painfully shy girl. She's so shy that she can't speak when she becomes seriously nervous. However, for some reason, she is spotted and recruited a member of the drama club. I think it was because I saw drama club, and I'm like, ooh, fun. Let me see if I could find their article on it. Hitohira. A painfully shy girl who literally becomes speechless in the spotlight is forced by seniors in her new school to join the drama club. The story of how she finds her new friends and builds her confidence is sweetly told in this anime version of Izumi Kirihara's manga, compared to Glass Mask, I guess. The story is a straightforward school narrative, although it's refreshing to see friendship rather than romance take center stage in changing the heroine's life. Good character development and some lovely melodies in the score make up for average animation. Yeah, seems like a fun time. The Howl article sounds like they're just saying it doesn't have that spark, you know, in so many words. Yeah. Which in turn just basically saying, yeah, I wasn't really feeling it. Yeah. They're just trying to trying to figure it out, you know? And then I have heard of Hikaije and House of Five Leaves before, so I don't need to show those on stream or anything. But I like those articles a lot, and they made me interested in those shows, even though I've heard of them before. So the other trends that we went through over the course of the stream, gosh, do they have to mention Gainax every time for every anime they're involved in? I'll probably test that and find out. Major priority on script over production. So like these examples and probably a couple more, I'd have to figure out ways to create trends for this. The trends are going to be pretty key, I think, because they're going to be kind of the spine of the whole video, if I make it, hopefully. The tug of war between being an objective encyclopedia and a means of recommendation. I forget what article this came up for, but I want to search and Control F how often they say, if you like this show is for you. I don't know if that's ever gotten me into watching a show, personally. But beyond the effectiveness of this quote, it made me realize, like, wait a minute. So are they recommending these shows or not? Are they trying to be a database and an encyclopedia of just, I want a big book of all the anime, which is the way Helen describes it. She's just wanted a big book of all the anime and just read all about them. Or is it a recommendation thing? I think because of the reviews that they do, yes. But in that case, how does it really function as an encyclopedia in that way? Something I want to consider. Or pick the brain up a little bit. But yep. Gosh, that is everything. 2.5 hours. Don't even need to dick around for a little bit to fill out the thing. It's a good thing I didn't look at the time until now. I kind of had a feeling it was over 2 hours, but, you know. Yeah. Well, it's 9 o'clock for me. I've been streaming since 6:30. So I would like to do something else, if you don't mind. It's been really great chilling with you guys, going over my findings today. Good use of my time. I enjoy it. It's very interesting. And I always like the conversation I have with you guys. If you have anything from H, I'll like spend 1 minute or anything, or like wait for a little bit. See if anyone has any articles that start with H that they want me to check out. And unfortunately, Hyōge Mono is in J, so. And we read it at the beginning of stream, so. Good night, y'all. Do you have any other, I'll wait a little bit in case people want to ask about, hey, what about this show that begins with H? What did they say about that? Ooh. After this, I'm going to make some dinner. I should also export a little bit of this. Let me know. put the chat over here. I'm just working on something else right now. I presume Helsing was already brought up. I did talk about Helsing, yes. They had a positive opinion about Helsing. Konami Strip provides some of the better horror of recent years because the original was a little anime original. They had a weird thing about it where the nighttime sequences are usually avoided in pre-anime, pre-digital, as it always works out to be more expensive to get the lighting and shading right, but Helsing bucked the trend with stark contrast and blood-red evening skies. I said that like neither of these adaptations are pre-digital, though. Also, I suppose the logic tracks, but I guess a lot of anime did a great job at not making me notice that, like, oh, it's actually more expensive to, or worse, but it's more expensive to have anime take place at night. All right, interesting. They talked about Helsing. What about Ultimate? They don't really mention Ultimate that much. I think maybe, I assume because it wasn't done by the time they wrote it. I have to see. Let's find out. As I recall, though, they didn't really talk about much of it besides being a closer adaptation. Helsing is another anime to add to that small but growing list that chooses the British. They talk about the dub too, and it's like whatever. The series was subsequently remade on video as Helsing Ultimate, a deliberate attempt to revisit the storyline of the original manga and to adhere to it far more closely than the TV version, with a script by Hideyuki Kurata and Yosuke Kuroda. Note that there is considerable argument over nomenclature in Helsing, since manga and anime translations disagree on the best way to render some of the names, and several errors have crept in. In a typical example, a Baoban Sith, type of Scottish vampire, infiltrates the Helsing base using the alias Laura, itself a reference to Sheridan Le Fanu's vampire novel, Carmilla. The English dub, however, does not spot the Scottish folklore reference and instead renders the creature as a Babansi. Oh, Karikano, that's an H, right? Yes. Is Hellgirl in there? I can check out Hellgirl as well. I can already tell you the only thing they say about Honey and Clover besides the synopsis is that it aired on Noitamina. And they just explain what Noitamina is. But they've pretty much nothing else to say about Honey and Clover, unfortunately. So I don't think I'll read that one, unfortunately. Hellgirl. It was only a matter of time before someone mated the internet zeitgeist of Lane, of Serial Experiments Lane, with the Faustian chills of Pet Shop of Horrors. Kiyoshi Kurosawa tried it in the live action world with the influential Cairo, and anime's take on the same material is Jigoku Tsushin, Hell Dispatches, an internet billboard which only appears at midnight and where disgruntled people can post details of who has wronged them in the hope that the Hellgirl AI and her straw dolls will appear to drag sinners into limbo. There is a catch, of course. Anyone wishing evil upon another will sacrifice his or her own soul in the process, compared to the similarly devilish small part in the live-action series Sky High. Sky High, listen, I guess is another one. The show was preceded by a manga running in Nakayoshi magazine. Since the internet crosses all time zones, we wonder if the site is only limited to a Japanese midnight, or if it manifests 24 times a day all around the world. The third season features a somewhat petulant eye, possessing the body of schoolgirl Yuzuki Mikage, and attempting to use this new venue to dissuade others from wasting their eternal souls over often trivial grievances. New characters are introduced and old ones return, providing an ongoing framework to support the episodic Grudge of the Week plot structure, and helping Watanabe to wrap up his story with an emotional climax. Animation support credits includes some names not featured in the first two series, including AIC Digital, Brainspace, and Production IG, and backgrounds come from Beijing Golden Pan-Stars Animation Company instead of Green, but the look of the show stays consistent with its precursors. Not too much else. Kuroda and Kurata, that sounds like a really based team of writers. Yeah. Maybe that? Okay, that's fine. Could message Jack something. Yeah. Alright. I think I am going to pop out. Was Hell's in there? Yeah, They didn't like it. They didn't like it. Let me read Hells. 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 Skipping the summary. Shinichi Himuramoto's 2002 manga inspired Madhouse's movie, which we have filed in as an English language release on account of its appearance in several film festivals and on English subtitled Blu-ray. It's a mess of a movie with a preachy, didactic plot, uneven pace, too much exposition, and a casual appropriation of Western culture, from Cain and Abel to Minnie Mouse. It never misses a chance to pound the audience over the head with hidden meaning. Yes, Disneyland and Destinyland sound but pointedly similar, pronounced by Japanese speakers, and the principal is called Helvis for the most obvious reason. Yet its sketchy, apparently casual visual style looks enticingly cool, as if Tim Burton at his best had gone over to work at Madhouse. The characters could be dolls from the Monster High line. Visually, there's nothing to dislike. It's also hard to dislike Madhouse's sheer daring in making movies with no real commercial potential, just to let their directors have a chance to develop. Hells might have been a great movie, instead of an interesting curiosity if Yamakawa had been instructed to develop a relationship with a strict and experienced editor. They didn't like it. Sorry. I can't blame them. I'm sorry. I wasn't a fan of it myself. It is what it is. Yeah. So, I think that'll do it. Sorry to end it on that note. But, I think I'm heading out of here. You guys are great. You have a great week or 2 weeks. I'm not going to do a stream next week. We're going to hold off on it because I want to do Naruto. I want to work on Naruto script. I haven't worked on it in like a month. All right. Anyway, have a good month. Not month. I don't know when I'll be back. Hopefully soon with Yo, peace.